I am very excited to say that we do have a quorum now, so we can start our meeting. We have a packed agenda this evening, so we are going to ask for everyone to just be present and pay attention to the presenters that we have this evening. And we have a few business owners that are also applying for new or renewing liquor license applications. We have our committee members, and my mom is also joining the meeting, so be good to me today. My name is Paola Martinez, and I am the chair of this Economic Development Committee. I am joined by my wonderful co-chair, and I will allow everyone to introduce themselves. Thank you so much, Stephen, and thank you so much, Anthony, for putting together the agenda and all the work you do. It's good to be back. So having said that, why don't we go first?
Good evening, everyone. Susan Camerata. I'm the vice chair of this committee.
I'm Cesar York, community board member. I'm the chair of the Environmental Justice and Sanitation Committee.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Calzado. I am chair to the Young Adults Committee.
Josephine Byrne. I am chair of the Senior and Aging Committee.
I'm Freddie Perez. I'm the vice chair of Community Board 1.
I'm Leslie Lopez, and I'm a new member.
Robert Barnes, and I'm a new member also.
Hi, everyone. I'm Argelia Ortiz, also Sergeant of Arms.
Hi, everyone. I'm Delorne Namoran, Chair of Bylaws, Policy, and Legislation for the Community Board.
And I'm Stephen Palmers. I am the Community Associate for Community Board.
Good afternoon or good evening, Chair, Vice Chairs, members. I'm Anthony Jordan, your District Manager. I just want to remind everyone that please silence all of your electronic equipment, including cell phones, other equipment, and other devices. There's no recording done by personally to anyone that is not other than the staff of the Community Board. And this committee is being live streamed on our YouTube channel at Bronx CB1. So please feel free to join us if live stream you are for that, and for folks who want to be on that. If there is anyone who does not want to be live streamed or recorded, they can leave now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Police Officer Lopez from the NYPD, who's joining us this evening. And I want to thank the staff from CD1 and the members, because everyone has done, and I want to acknowledge Anthony's role on this, on putting together an updated application for the businesses looking to renew or apply for new liquor license applications. This is a very comprehensive work. It includes all of the questions that members primarily ask. And as you can see, it also includes reports from the NYPD. So thank you so much for that work. I also want to mention that as a requirement, we ask the business owners to show up in person or send their legal representatives. And we have 10 minutes today for those businesses looking to renew liquor licenses to do their presentations. We will ask you to please collaborate and stick to 10 minutes, and the decision will be shared with you towards the end of. You will receive a notification from the community board staff
After the vote.
After the vote in our general meeting. We also have 2 presentations for Euler, one from HPD and 1 presentation regarding Euler. So we have a packed schedule. With no further delays, let's start, and we want to call. Let's approve the agenda. Yes. So I'm going to ask a motion to approve this agenda. Motion to approve the agenda.
I, Delorne Namoran, make a motion to approve the agenda.
I, Susan Camerata, second that.
Discussion on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. The first business that we will discuss is El Chicano Sports Bar. You have the application on your folders, and we will ask the representatives to please stand up and provide a 10 minutes presentation. And if we have questions, those will be taken after the presentation.
Hi, my name is Ricardo Rodriguez. I'm the owner of Chicano for what? Let's come for the application.
Perfect. So you can walk us through your business, you know, where is it located? I have an application here. Where is it located? What type of food you serve? Hours of operation, etc.
The 135 East, 153 Street.
Yeah, you go ahead. You can tell us about your business. Elaborate. Puede hablar sobre su negocio.
Bueno, yo soy nuevo ahí y espero que acepte mi aplicación para yo poder seguir trabajando ahí.
¿Usted es el dueño?
Sí, yo soy el dueño.
Okay, so I will translate quickly. So, ¿su nombre de nuevo?
Ricardo Rodriguez.
Okay, so Mr. Ricardo Rodriguez is indicating that he's the owner, he's a new owner for El Chicano Sports Bar, and he's applying for the liquor license just to, you know, keep operations going. Is the business currently open? ¿Ya abrió el negocio?
Estamos en proceso.
Está en el proceso de apertura. ¿Ahora está proveyendo servicio a las personas o no todavía?
Estamos en proceso también.
Okay.
Dueño anterior.
Okay, so they are in the process of providing services to the community and engaging in discussions with the previous owners. ¿Correcto?
Sí.
Okay. Entonces, díganos un poco sobre cuál es su motivación de adquirir este negocio. I will translate that question. So I'm asking if you can tell us a little bit about this process, you know, or motivation to own this business. I will ask my members to raise their hands and you can ask questions as well at any point. ¿Cuál es su motivación para comprar este restaurante?
Bueno, para seguir adelante, salir muy bien en mi negocio y ser alguien más en este.
Okay.
Yo quiero superarme, hacer mis negocios bien
Usted
y estar bien con la comunidad.
Gracias. So he's saying that he's purchasing this business because he wants to, you know, as an immigrant and as a community member, he wants to grow and do good for the community. I have a question before we move on to members' questions. Are you affiliated in any kind of way with the previous owners? ¿Está afiliado de alguna forma con los dueños anteriores del negocio?
Sí, somos conocidos.
Pero no familia, solo conocidos.
No conocidos.
Okay, so he knows the previous owner, right? There's no other type of relationship. Members, do you have any questions?
Yo quería saber cuánta experiencia tú tienes en esto, en restaurantes, en tener este negocio.
Ya tengo como unos, qué sé yo, más de 10 años. Yo tengo un restaurante también.
¿Tiene un restaurante?
Taquitos.
Ok, que está, ok, ese. Sí.
So I'm gonna translate.
Yeah, sorry.
The question was, what kind of experience do you have in the hospitality industry? You have indicated that you have over 10 years of experience, and that you also owned another business called El Taquitos, which is not the same as the Taquitos Corp, or is it?
Yeah.
So we're reviewing two applications. Okay, so the Taquitos is registered under your wife. Okay. Interesting, because we're reviewing two applications today. So just to clarify, Taquitos is his wife application and El Chicano is his business. Okay.
I have a question.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna take your question
sorry.
and then you can go next.
Yes, of course.
Señor, ¿qué es la conexión con la organización The Finest Events?
¿Me puede repetir la pregunta?
¿Qué es la asociación suya con la organización The Finest Events? Que está aquí puesto como nombre, no sé, ¿ellos son los dueños de antes o son dueños con usted?
Yo creo que eso es diferente.
What page? ¿Qué página?
No, yo creo que
Esa pregunta lo puede contestar mi contador.
No, it's in there.
no sé. Because the address is 435, right?
And
It's 435, right?
Here on the page, it says
435.
establishment number 2, name and address, the finest events LLC, 430 East. Yeah, but why is that person's organization's name there?
Here. Ahí sí, mira acá. Ella pregunta con respecto a esto, ¿cuál es la asociación con esta negocio?
Of other establishments. And so
Oh, that's otra.
we already have clarification on it.
I got clarification.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, it's 435.
yeah.
Thank you for
They are within the premises.
It says, you know,
Están
this is
cerca.
the houses within 200 feet of,
Okay.
that's why.
Perdón, ya. Gracias.
Otra pregunta.
So I can translate myself, because I want him to understand what I'm gonna say.
That's true. That's
First, ¿dónde está el abogado de usted? Where's your attorney? Because you filled out an application with an attorney, but you're not having somebody, you're having the board translate for you. O sea, ustedes llenaron una solicitud, pero no trajeron su abogado para poder hablar en inglés por ustedes.
No sabíamos que teníamos que traer abogado.
No que tenía que traer abogado, que pudieran translate, trasladar, traducir la pregunta que nosotros estamos haciendo de inglés a español.
Okay. Bueno.
So I asked, why didn't they bring their attorney so they could translate so that everyone could understand, except for the chair doing this?
Okay. Bueno, I am. Thank you so much for the question. He doesn't have an answer to that question. Él indica que he doesn't have an answer. He didn't know he needed to bring his attorney or someone who translated.
Yeah.
I guess that the question we want to know is that, are you aware of all of the complaints that this business currently has? I guess that during the transaction when you were purchasing the restaurant, were you made aware of all of the issues that have transpired with this?
Okay. Yeah, no, I wasn't finished. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
So I was going to get to that. Ustedes entienden que ahí mataron a alguien. Are you aware that someone was killed there? The stabbing.
Escuchamos
Somebody
algo
died.
parecido, pero
And so my question is, if you're buying this business, why is it still called Chicanito? Why do you continue having the same name if you're going to be the new owner and you have no affiliation to the
no
other
es el
people?
mismo nombre.
Del
Okay.
chicano al chicanito no se va muy lejos.
Pues parecido, pero para mí no es lo mismo.
Bueno, pero tiene el mismo nombre, has the same name.
¿Cuál es la diferencia?
Entonces tienen 7 páginas en la parte de atrás con todos los complaints y todos los incidentes que han pasado ahí en ese local en los últimos 2 o 3 años. Esa gente no duerme.
Pero ahora
por
yo
todos los
tengo
problemas.
mucha seguridad y ese lugar lo estoy mejorando. Estoy en comunicación con los oficiales, ya fueron los detectives, cambié las cámaras y es más seguridad para que no vuelva a pasar. Eso es lo que estoy haciendo.
Freddy, you can.
Well, he said that he's already been in contact with NYPD. He's put in new cameras, and they're going to change the way they do things. So I'm satisfied with my question.
Okay. Yeah, I think we have to move on to the next. I'm sorry. I just want to clarify something about the process. We are providing each business 10 minutes to present, right? And I think we're about time for that. My question, if the members here are not satisfied with the answers, in your experience, Anthony, what's been the process? Do we call a meeting with the
So
internally?
if there are no other questions, we don't know, decisions are made after the people leave. Are there any more questions from the members?
I have one last question. I just want to confirm, you posted here the address is 435 East 153rd. Does that also include 439 East 153rd?
So that's so the other establishment. Sorry, manager.
Mm-hmm.
So 653 Melrose and 430 153rd Street. What's the association? The other two, it says establishment 1 and 2. What's the association with?
I think what they did with the landlord, he had 3 locations. At some point, the previous business had 3 locations conjoined into one. One of them is now the other business that also has a liquor license. But
That the hall?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the hall is not associated with this business?
No.
And for your record, we want to say your name for the record
Sure, Pedro Ortega.
and your relationship to this.
I'm the accountant for business.
Any other questions from the members? Any testimony from the public?
I'm sorry. I just had a question for
You
Anthony.
speak up so they could.
Okay, I had a question for Anthony because I remember we had a meeting
Yeah, we're gonna
regarding.
talk about that after that.
Okay,
Thank
okay,
you.
so I was a little
Thank you.
confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any testimony from the community?
Some water.
Okay, so I just want to point out before thank you so much for the presentation. I just want to point out that there are so many things that are not clear about the business and how it's, even the layout and how the previous owners were conducting operations there versus how you would conduct operations. I think that we have so many more questions, but once we conclude this process, we're gonna follow up with you on next steps. Thank you so much. Okay, next business, Boca Cafe. Please introduce yourself and talk about your business. Sure.
Okay. So my name, how you doing, everybody? Hope everyone had a good Memorial Labor Day weekend. So my name is Ariel Castellanos, born and raised in Queens. I opened my first restaurant, 19 years old. At that point, I gravitated into the real estate industry. I'm a commercial real estate broker, flipping into realty. I pioneered the industrial real estate side for the business 15 years ago. And I own this property where we want to open up Boca Cafe, which is going to be a breakfast and rotisserie chicken place. 5 a.m. to probably 4 p.m. At a later point, we'll probably open up later hours than that. Our focus here is to service mostly the Hunts Point market, the local industrial market. Because of my professional experience, there's a big need in that pocket for that type of restaurant, that type of establishment. So myself and my management, we're gonna run this location. We have 2 other restaurants in Brooklyn, also chicken establishments. That's been for the last about 5 years. So heavy experience in the food industry.
So I will allow members to make any questions. Thank you so much. Please, if there are any questions from our members, feel free to just raise your hand. But you mentioned that primarily rotisserie chicken and?
So it's breakfast and rotisserie chicken. So we make breakfast from 5 a.m. to 11. At that point, rotisserie chicken sides, fast casual. So we're applying for beer and wine mostly as an option for our lunch guests.
So I'm not 100% sure of the location. It's difficult to see here. But is this where there was like a place where they sell like supplies for events and stuff like this?
No.
Are you making any renovations to this store?
Yeah, so the store is completely renovated. The storefront's also being renovated. It's the middle of the 3 stores. It used to be called the Hero Factory.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. But it is only food. You're just serving food. There's no like place to like. It's not like an event type of situation.
No,
dancing. Just
not at all.
In your application, you stated the proposed hours of operation were going to be from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. And you stated here that you'd be closing around 4 p.m.
Yeah, so originally our plan was to open up for dinner as well. Considering certain staff issues, we're going to open up from 5 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. And if it requires, we'll open up to later hours.
I don't know, would you have to revise this application then?
Yes, and it makes more sense because that's there's
Industrial.
workers there and they leave early, so.
There's actually like a club like around there.
Okay, the learning,
I just wanted to, looking at your recommendations or letters in support, one of them isn't signed at all. It says best regards, no name.
Yeah,
So we don't know who that is.
I don't know what I have in front.
Well, I didn't even but it doesn't even give us a name. The other two have like Jimmy Santos, and one says Marino but no last name.
Yeah.
You don't need to. I just
All of the names are in the body of each individual page.
This is
So
like
I will.
Yeah, John Connolly, but it doesn't have.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I totally missed that. No, it's okay. It could be clerical error. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you said you have your businesses in Queens. This would be your first business in the Bronx?
I have my businesses in Brooklyn. This is our first restaurant establishment in the Bronx. My real estate business is in the South Bronx. I'm in the South Bronx every day.
And the businesses you have in Brooklyn are also
Fast casuals. They're called chicken stuff.
Okay. Yes, Cesar?
So this area is a food desert, so we tend to get a lot of chicken, fried stuff. Do you have any healthy options there? Any healthy food, because we are rampant with non-healthy stuff here.
So we're not serving anything that's fried. Typical breakfast, right? Coffee, breakfast sandwiches, and then our rotisserie chicken is actually all natural, organic, marinated by hand. We have side orders, food salads, wraps. So definitely healthy options and a clean environment, which myself working in the South Bronx every day, it's hard, it's a challenge to find a clean place.
Yes?
You said you're going to be serving liquor.
No liquor.
Okay, but it's in the application, I believe.
It says wine and beer.
It says wine and beer, cider.
Wine and beer.
Oh, so that's not liquor? No.
My understanding is not liquor.
Okay, all right. I stand corrected.
The lower level of liquor.
I
It is a
thought
liquor
it-
license.
Yeah, I can get liquor license.
It is a liquor license, but nothing higher.
Okay.
Wine and beer is
I thought it was liquor.
Yeah.
it is. It is.
But you don't need a liquor license to sell wine and beer.
You do.
Oh, you do.
It's just a modified license.
Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right.
Okay,
You're
so,
right, Josephine. You're right.
There's just a liquor section versus a beer and wine
okay,
section.
so in what modality will you be serving wine?
We're actually, we may or may not serve wine. It's more, it's probably bottled beer, and it's a choice for our guests.
Okay,
It'll be bottled and more of a lunchtime.
all right, so that will have to be amended in the application
What will I have to be amended? I'm sorry.
if you're not going to serve wine.
No, it's the same section,
It's
Joseph.
the same section.
Yeah, wine and beer and cider are in the same section.
All right,
It's
so if you
less.
approve one, you can include both.
Yes, as long as it's less than 20%.
All right, so if you're serving liquor, is there going to be any security on the premises?
We're not serving liquor, we're not serving.
No, wine and beer.
Wine and beer is considered liquor to most people.
Okay, so security because of the wine, because of beer? No, we're not planning on having security. It'll be bottled.
You would be surprised what people want to steal.
Oh, he's talking about that.
Maybe because it's in the.
Cameras, we have an alarm system, so we're prepared on that front.
Are there any other questions from our members? Yes.
Hi, so this area is really driver heavy. There's a lot of trucks moving around. I've actually been in an accident from a drunk driver of a truck pulling out of the parking lot behind this business. So how do we ensure that there is no drinking and driving continuing in that area?
So we do have parking in the front of the establishment. As far as drinking and driving, because it's really a heavy breakfast and lunch crowd, we don't plan on, or at least we hope there'll be a limit on what our guests are drinking during lunch.
I mean, also making sure that we're asking for IDs from people and making sure that minors are not consuming the alcohol. It's difficult to control people's choices, but just the fact that happened to you right there is like,
It is a heavy industrial area. There's accidents there. We see it every, but there was a lot of congestion. I think that's eased with the construction that's going on Brooklyn Boulevard. And yeah, everyone's invited for some free chicken if we stop there.
You can say that, you can bribe us. But we can host a community event maybe.
You can't bribe other providers. You can't do that.
Well, thank you, we'll follow up, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions from the public? Okay. El Taquitos Court.
¿Me puedes traducir? Sí, claro. Bueno, mi nombre es Olga Nava, yo vengo representando el Taquitos Court. Tengo trabajando largo tiempo ahí, tengo aproximadamente como 10 años y estoy haciendo la renovación de la licencia de licor y cerveza.
Okay, so, repítame su nombre.
Olga Nava.
Olga, do you want to translate or do you want to? Okay, so Miss Olga Nava has been providing services from El Taquitos for over 10 years, and she's applying for a license renewal. I will allow questions from our members, I guess, a menos que quiera decir algo más.
Bueno, yo espero a la comunidad, parece que todo está bien.
Okay. So, no ha tenido ningún problema, ningún enfrentamiento con policía, nadie borracho, ningún problema en todo este tiempo.
No.
Okay, so she's indicated that she hasn't had any issues at the business so far, and that, you know, she is also in the community and has good relationships in the community. I will allow questions, Mr. Freddy Perez.
Officer Lopez, have you guys vetted the establishment because it falls under 40? Have you had any incidents or any problems with this establishment? Thank you.
Una pregunta. ¿Su esposo le ha estado ayudando? ¿Cómo es la operación del negocio? ¿Cuánto personal tienen en el negocio? ¿Cómo se desenvuelve siendo una familia que está aplicando para 2 licencias? Y tienen otros negocios también, me dijo.
Sí. Tenemos los food shop, el Taquitos Steakhouse, el Chicano.
Yes, so I'm asking about the staff at the business and how do they manage their business, being that it's a family-owned business that has multiple other food businesses, right, in the Bronx. So, ¿cuánto personal tienen?
Bueno, yo me encargo en lo mío y él en lo de él. Así que es que nos dividimos
los empleados.
Los empleados son
5 empleados. Okay. El Taquitos has 5 staff members. César?
Es una clarificación, porque yo he ido ahí muchas veces. So, usted tiene un camión, ¿verdad? Que se llama Taquitos. ¿O es? Sí. Okay. So, entonces, cuando yo fui allá, cambiaron el nombre.
No.
Okay. Me parecía que algo estaba pasando ahí, Ronero. Parecía algo diferente el lugar. So, nada ha cambiado y eso.
Nada ha cambiado.
¿Y qué hacen atrás del Taquito? Porque hay un lugar atrás que parece que tiene eventos. ¿Qué pasa ahí?
No, esa es comida.
Esa es comida. No tiene eventos y eso, no tiene fiesta. ¿Ah?
Comida.
Solo comida. Ok, eso no tiene fiestas y eso.
No, solamente así cuando hay un cumpleaños.
Un cumpleaños. Pero mucha gente. Okay.
No entiendo. Si solicitan hacer algún cumpleaños, ¿ustedes sí tienen un espacio para poder hacer fiestas?
Tenemos el espacio para darles de comer, hacer.
They got a bigger space in the back.
Sí.
He had like, it's like 2 places. He had the restaurant inside, where you have the seats.
Es una
And then
llave.
the back is a bigger place that it looks like a place for events. That's why I was asking that. I want to know the difference. I want to know they have events and things like that, because that will affect liquor stuff.
Okay.
Liquor market.
¿Con qué regularidad hacen fiestas de cumpleaños en la yarda? Porque eso sí, lo que
But
está
is he testifying also? You have to stand if you're testifying on behalf of your.
Yeah, you might want to stand, yeah, and support your wife. Okay, because that does change the application, right? Lo que indica César es que si hacen eventos, aunque sea con poca frecuencia, pero sí se hacen
Sí,
eventos,
poca frecuencia.
la aplicación cambia. So I'm letting them know that if they host events in this area, even if it's not very often, that might change the application process, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And they did indicate that they host 1 or 2 events once a month.
So I guess, may I chair? Who is, when you host the events, these are not restaurant events, right? These are private events. How is the restaurant responsible, holding responsibility to people hosting private events at your establishment?
La pregunta es, asumimos que estos eventos son eventos privados, ¿verdad? Entonces, si el restaurante provee la comida y están desarrollando estos eventos en la parte de atrás, ¿cómo ustedes se aseguran de que haya cierta seguridad o cierta responsabilidad por parte de las personas que están haciendo los eventos atrás?
Prácticamente lo hacemos en el verano, no es todo el año.
Ok, pero cuando lo hacen en el verano, ¿cómo ustedes se aseguran,
Nos
verdad?
organizamos con los trabajadores, ponemos seguridad y todo.
Él me indica que they host the events during the summer, and then when there is such events, they have security, safety staff. ¿Algo más que quieran agregar?
Nada más.
¿Algunas preguntas de parte de los miembros? Any questions from our members or the public? Okay. Okay.
I just, are they gonna just modify their application to check catering hall? I see that's a section now. So since it's catering hall sometimes,
Sometimes, right?
so this should check it off, so it can be inclusive application.
So, la recomendación es que modifiquen su aplicación, ya que algunas veces hacen eventos, entonces tienen que modificar la aplicación.
And in the same vein as Delorny was saying, it says here that you close at 7 p.m. Is that correct?
Indica que cierran a las 7 de la noche, ¿es correcto?
So that nothing happened. And also here, I think you just stated you had 5 employees, but here you noted 2.
Me indica que habían puesto en la aplicación que tienen 2 empleados, pero usted me ha dicho que tienen 5. Entonces,
Porque es una sola corporación.
okay, so I will clarify this. So they're actually applying on behalf. So, okay, so that's a point of clarification. Eso hay que clarificarlo, porque if you are applying for the entire corporation, which includes El Taquitos restaurant plus the food trucks, right? Then this has to specify all of the employees of the corporation. Okay, so we will follow up with next steps. ¿Otras preguntas de parte del público? No hay preguntas de parte del público. If there are no more questions from the public, thank you so much for the follow-up. Okay. La próxima. Thank you, everyone. So my question, do they have to stay?
Yeah. We have to, they got a food truck and they got a
Okay,
restaurant.
so perfect. We are going to do the last presentation from the businesses, and after that, if those businesses that have presented want to stay, you're welcome to stay. Otherwise, you can. No, I'm sorry. You are excused from the meeting. Thank you. Blissful Creations Inc.
No.
Thank you.
Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Aurelia Tavares. I'm the representative.
Please speak up so the mic.
Both of you, and project.
My name is Aurelia Tavares. I'm the representative for Blissful Creations, located at 125 St. Anne's Avenue in the Bronx. I'm here with the owner, Marlene Tejada. Marlene this is a removal application. She had a catering hall on 6661 Broadway, and because the owner sold the building and to the city, she had to find a new location.
She has over 7 years' experience in catering. She loves the space. She understands that with catering, there needs to be security. She has 2 to 3 during each event. She has only a couple of events scheduled lately because, she just started. I don't think you're gonna have any issue with this location. In the last location, she was there for 5 years and she had no issues. No noise complaints, no police interaction, no incidents. She has no disciplinaries with the liquor authority. And we anticipate that this catering hall will be running in the same fashion. She hopes to be doing, I'll let her speak, but weddings, more quinceañeras, which is more of the community needs. And this location, the CFO has dancing, so quinceañeras have dancing. This is not a discotheque. She will be hosting private events where they're by contract with stipulations for the renters and things of that nature. There's a menu that they pre-select items from. And if you have any questions, I'm here with the owner.
Okay, thank you so much. So at this point, we will take questions from the members of the community board. What business is currently in this facility?
So this is two-story building, there's a meat market on the first floor, and then my business on the second floor.
But you don't have any signs yet, or you already occupy the premises?
Okay.
It's a quasi-industrial area. We won't be disturbing our neighbors. She soundproofed the windows and you can put the soundproofing material and curtains. I don't think there'll be any issues with noise and anything of that nature.
Until 2 a.m., correct?
2 a.m.
César.
Yeah, I'm from that area. Yo soy de esa área ahí. So, yo quería saber si seguridad, porque ese lugar es oscuro y eso, y no mucha gente va. Y dice que va a estar hasta las 2 de la mañana. So, quería saber más de la seguridad. So, I just wanted to, I live in that area, so there's not a lot of lights there. And then there's not a lot of people that walk there. So I just wanted to know about security because you said you're going to be there until 2 a.m. Is that correct?
Okay, so last hour for my events is 1 a.m.
Okay.
Last hour for my events is 1 a.m., but to 2 because we give legal time for the guests to gather up, say their goodbyes. So the premises will be cleared, must be cleared before 2 a.m. And then after that, we stay, the staff, myself, will stay there cleaning, making sure everything is just set up for the next event the next day. So.
And security.
And we have security, and we also hired the same company that I used to have in my other location. We have in place 16 cameras on the premises. Yeah.
What's the capacity?
300.
That's a
But
lot.
300 includes staff. There's no way we can have 300 there because of the chairs, the seating. It includes employees, the bar setup, and then I don't know if you've seen the decorations. I'm talking about maybe 250 and not even that much because it's expensive.
Well, I owned the catering hall across the street till the pandemic killed me. So, I know 300 is a lot. That's
Yeah, it's a 300.
and 1 o'clock in the morning means 4 after you clean up. So I understand Cesar's questioning about how dark it is out there. You guys got to be very careful out there.
Chair, may I? As a reference to security, a security license or staff of your agency?
No, it's a licensed security company.
So the licensed security company.
Yes.
And how many security personnel is on site? Is it according to capacity or is it according to this regular number?
Not all events will have the same amount of guests, but we will say 2 to 3 at each given event.
And management is on staff when
I'm always there.
is on time. And then is there evacuation procedure that's in place in case of emergency or in case of an incident?
Yes.
What type of, and is that posted or discussed in the contract when you are?
It is in the contract.
Would you mind sending a copy of a sample copy of the contract to the board for this part of this application?
Sure.
Also, everybody's gonna be temp certified and trained, so that would be helpful in terms of them drinking or anything like that. That's why she won't have issues in the other location.
And when you are giving, I'm sorry, I thought somebody was speaking. When you're giving, you're serving alcohol, your staff serving alcohol, right? Your staff serves alcohol to the guests, to the bartender, and the guests are not. You can't determine the age. How do we determine the age of the guests when they're given alcohol?
No, it
Are they carded
it
or
is
they what?
also in the contract that we reserve the right to ask for proper identification before serving alcohol, so everything is in the contract.
Thank you, Chair.
What was the name of your business? It was in the Washington Heights, right?
No, it's the same name, Blissful Creations.
Blissful. And that address that you had on Broadway, isn't it Washington Heights or Inglewood?
No, it was borderline Riverdale, Yonkers. It was almost near Yonkers. Okay. From Riverdale.
I was just gonna ask the same, if you gave us what was the address of your prior establishment?
It's 6661 Broadway.
661?
6661 Broadway. Right in the corner. Google it, you're gonna see everything that happened there. Yeah, it was sold.
How do you feel, this is, not related to the application per se, but, as a business owner in that area, you know probably that the population you're serving is different and the clients that you're gonna reach are different. How do you feel about the
But that's the goal. That's the goal. I feel like certain population sets, certain vicinities are excluded from certain things, and I believe a lot in inclusion, and I think that's what my business can bring to the community.
So I just want to get a sense of your space. Do you have like musical groups come in or like DJs, things like that? Are you just specific to catering and food and that's it?
The DJ service.
Oh, you have a DJ service? No, no, sorry. I'm thinking of the space because when DJs play, you take out the tables because you want more people dancing. So I was trying to get a sense of what will happen on a regular basis. So you're not going to have any musical people come in or just like that. Just strictly skate.
No.
Strictly catering.
For the type of events that I'm going to.
Okay. Thanks.
If the client brings the artist in terms of, like a quinceañera wants to have a famous Mexican singer or whatever, that's really on them. It's a private party. It's not.
Okay.
Any questions from the public?
Just the last question. So here with the live music, you wrote 3-piece jazz, non-amplified. Is that the only live music you would allow then?
It would be, if it's a band, it would be non-amplified music. If it's, we just put 3 pieces, probably the minimum, if it's like a band or whatever, but not really. If it's usually a musical group, then, they have their ensembles.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, with this presentation, we have concluded our portion on liquor licenses. We thank each one of the business owners that have showed up, and we thank you again. You can now excuse yourselves from the meeting. Thank you so much. Ahora concluimos la primera parte de las presentaciones de las aplicaciones para licencias y invitamos a las personas que han venido a salir del salón y vamos a continuar la segunda porción de nuestra reunión.
Muchas gracias.
So now we're going to continue the second portion of our meeting. We are doing well on time, and our goal is to get us out of here as soon as possible so we can have dinner. I would like to ask the Department of Housing, Preservation and Development, HPD, to conduct your presentation. It's just you tonight?
There'll be 3 of us, so it's HPD and the development team.
Sure. So Stephen, please guide them as to from where they should be conducting the presentation.
Should come from here. I don't know if you want to go.
Okay, so everyone who's presenting or those representing HPD, please introduce yourselves for the record.
Okay, yeah, I'm Adam Beckerman. I'm a senior planner on the Bronx planning team at HPD.
I'm Susanna Terry with Start Architecture.
Thank you so much. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Anivelka Cordova with Lemmy and Wolf, principal with Lemmy and Wolf. I also have my partner David Claiborne from Help You With Things on the phone and would like to listen in if that's okay. Is that okay? Is that permitted?
Yes.
Speaker. Hi, David. Say hello.
Hey, everybody. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. I have a sick kid tonight, but thank you for letting me call in.
Thank you so much and welcome everyone. So you requested 30 minutes for the presentation, I believe?
Yeah, it won't take that long, but we'll take questions.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks everyone for having us tonight. As I mentioned, I'm Adam Beckerman. I'm on the Bronx planning team with Ted and at HPD. So we're here to present about 351 Powers Avenue, also known as Powerhouse Apartments. So I'm just going to provide some project background, what brought about this project, talk about the site, and then I'll hand it over to the development team. So just to give some project background, so this site is a city-owned site. It's currently owned by the Department of Education. It was originally identified in the Borough Jail's point of agreement as a site that could be for affordable housing. Currently, the site is being used for parking for staff at the PS65 building. And this project really launched back in September 2021. We launched our community engagement portion that we have with any of our requests for proposals. So that included collecting questionnaires, tabling events, and we held a remote public workshop. Here's a picture at the bottom of the parking lot. So just to give a reminder about HPD's RFP process and the development process, it was a long time ago, but we presented at the beginning of our community visioning stage of our process. So that kicked off, coming out to the community to figure out what type of housing you wanted to see on this site. So we got on the community, we had the surveys and questionnaires, and that got put into a community visioning report, which is then included as an attachment to our RFPs. So then we had our open request for proposals that started in August 2022, and that closed in November 2022. And from there, we reviewed the proposals, seeing how well they met the community visioning report. And in February 2024, we designated the developer to build this project. So currently, we are starting the public approvals process. We're in the early stages, but that's where we'll put together our land use application and eventually come back to you as part of ULURP. So briefly about the site, you see this picture, it's kind of behind the PS65 and only about a block and a half away from St. Mary's Park. Here you can see kind of a rendering of the building in relationship to the park. It's approximately 17,500 square feet, and it's zoned as an R6. And just to note, we are not seeking a rezoning in this application.
How many, if you can please explain to folks here, what does the R6 code allows for?
So I forget the exact FAR but it's
3.4.
Four floors.
No. It's off the top of my head, but we're using both residential and senior FAR to get an FAR of 4.02, which means that the site is 1745 into 4. So that's how much you can build on the site.
Or,
Next one.
yeah, for clarification is also, we potentially be using UAP if CHO passes instead of the senior.
Translate that into.
So the universal affordability program. Yeah.
Explain the project, so what you keep going.
Yeah. So why don't we
Yes.
present through and we can talk about that.
I just want to make sure people are following because I know
It's just essentially a bonus for providing affordable housing. And before it was under, if you provide seniors, and now under CHO would be for just general affordable housing. But we can get more into that as we do it. So I'm going to hand it over to the development team to introduce themselves and talk more about the project.
Hi, everybody. I prepared some remarks to make sure that I stay on target and on time. So if you don't mind, I'll be reading a bit. But my name is Anivelka Cordova, and I'm a principal with Lemley & Wolf Companies. And on behalf of our team, I want to express how thrilled we are to have the opportunity to be here to discuss our plan for developing the site as a pilot project for climate resilient affordable housing in the Montana. I want to briefly introduce the development team, which includes significant MWBE and nonprofit participation at the ownership level, and also includes industry leaders and professionals that have a great deal of experience. So Lemley & Wolf is co-developer and general contractor and property manager for the project. I will be the lead principal representing the company on this project. I've been with the company for over 13 years, and I'm proud to represent the company as the next generation of leaders for Lemley. Lemley has been in existence for over 85 years. And since the late 80s, has focused on developing and preserving over 4,000 apartments of affordable housing in partnership with the city, the state, and the state agencies under various programs. We currently have approximately 400 units of affordable new construction units in different phases of development. The most recent one that I want to highlight is the 15-story building, 101 units project that was completed on Willis Avenue, the corner of Willis Avenue and 146th Street. That's my project. 8 years ago, I presented before this same board. It was a ULER project, and I'm happy to report that the project is complete. We're currently leasing up, and it's very exciting for the Mott Haven community. And we're very proud of that project and what it represents. So we're very excited about that. So I also want to highlight my other development partners that are listed here. David, he introduced himself briefly on the phone, David Clayhorn, who's president of Health Development Company, and Health's role is also as co-developer partner and social service provider. He can answer any questions you may have on that portion of the development as we go forward. Also, Sherry Gidding, unfortunately, because of vacation schedules, she wasn't able to be here, but she's a principal of True Development, which is certified WBE firm with extensive experience. Also, she's a co-developer partner on the project, focusing on executing financing for the project and also the development process in general. I didn't mention my colleague who's also here today, Rosanna Vieira, who's gonna talk a little bit more about the project. But before, and then finally, I also want to mention Susanna Tharian, who is the principal of Stat Architecture, also a WB certified firm, a professional that we've worked with, and very excited to execute this project with. So with that, I want to turn it to Rosanna, who's going to go through the project highlights.
Hello, everyone. So, I guess it's not a rendering, but you can kind of get an idea of the entrance. We're proposing to build an 8-story unit building with approximately 80 units of affordable housing. The building will I'm gonna go to my cheat sheet. So 8-story, approximately 80-unit building with 30 at-grade parking spaces for DOE staff. The building will achieve passive health certification, which Susanna will talk about a little bit more later on. Will provide apartments ranging from studio to 3-bedroom apartments for families earning between 30 and 80% of the area median income. The building includes a couple of community facility spaces, which we'll talk about a little later. And we're really excited about the pilot program that we're going to participate in with the city. It's called the Climate Resilient Design Program that Susanna will expand a little bit more on.
Hello, everyone. I'm Susanna Tharian from Style Architecture. We are an architecture firm that specializes in multifamily housing all over the city, mostly in the affordable housing sector. I've personally worked with HPD for over 25 years, and I'm very excited to work on this project. One of the criteria for this RFP was that it is a pilot project for the Mayor's Office for Resiliency and Climate Change. What that means is we're designing and implementing new strategies to combat climate change within our buildings. So some of the serious crises are sea level rising, heavy precipitation, and heat gain. Sea level and precipitation is not a criteria for this building, but heat gain is a criteria because this building is in a very high heat zone. So our entire design was done where we implemented both active and passive measures to combat heat gain. So if you saw the elevation of the building, and you'll see it again, you'll see a lot of balconies and a very light colored facade. The light colored facade was done so that it mitigates heat gain, and balconies on all the apartments are for the tenants to come out and cool off should they require. The balconies are all angled towards St. Mary's Park. Further, this building, in addition to having central heating, also has central cooling. So all the apartments are centrally air conditioned. And in addition to that, you have a number of other features that make this building highly energy efficient. It's all electric. It has a thick thermal envelope that makes, and with very efficient equipment that will consume less power. It also has green roofs, solar panels, and electric car charging, various other features that I won't go into detail about. And I just want to highlight one or two amenities that the building has for the tenants, one of which is there's a whole landscape rear yard at the back of the building, and this is entirely for the tenants. So a part of it will be zoned into active areas, which adjoins the basketball court of the building, the school building next door. There are some shaded and covered seating areas, and there are quieter areas next to the 1 and 2 family houses for people to sit and relax here. Inside the building, you have spaces that overlook the outdoor space. This is for all the tenants in the building. You have a large space for indoor entertainment should the tenants want to have a movie night or group fitness classes like yoga classes. There is a fitness area with equipment for the tenants. And there is another area with sofas and seating area for quiet relaxation where if tenants should want, with a refrigerator and a sink for beverages and food requirements. Every single floor in this building has a laundry for the tenants to use. So there's a laundry area, and there's a Wi-Fi closet also in every floor for free Wi-Fi to all the tenants throughout the building. So this is just some of the features. And one of the features we're really excited about is we are going to provide a theater on the ground floor. This theater will hold 150 people. Rosanna will talk more about the client, but it's a double height space, and it will, a theater will liven the neighborhood. So I go back to Rosanna.
So we understand the importance of having community partnerships and just being able to share our spaces with the community. So we have partnered, we're hoping to partner with ID Studio here, who will lease the space, and they will provide different types of events that will be open to the community there. And we're also partnering with the Hope program, and they'll provide workforce development training out of the building as well. You said workforce development training? Yes.
Okay.
So where we are now, as I mentioned, we're kind of at the beginning of the process. We're not currently in New York. So kind of the next steps is, HPD will work with the development team to put together a land use application. The actions we'll be seeking is just disposition of city-owned land. That's the only action. We're not seeking a rezoning. And then we'll bring it and we'll get to certification, which will then start the ULURP process, which means we'll be coming back to you to again formally present it. There'll be more details at that time, that we can break down the units a little bit more. And then, as you know, we go to the Borough President, City Planning Commission, City Council, and roughly we're expecting approvals by mid to late 2025. Just an idea of timeline. But with that, I would give it a great then bring up the building again, and we'll take any questions that you have.
Okay, I'm just giving people like 30 seconds a minute so that everything can sink in. Well, thank you so much for the presentation. First of all, thank you so much to the members from HPD, the architecture company, and Lemby and Wolf for coming to provide this presentation, as well as the representative from Vanessa Dixon's office. We're going to allow for questions now from the members first, and then we can open for questions from the community members. Susan.
Thank you. You mentioned that there were parking spaces for the DOE staff, and how many, I could not hear, how many
30.
parking spaces?
30.
Is the parking underground?
It's above grade.
Above grade. Are any parking spaces going to be made available to the residents?
So I think we would have to have conversations with DOE in terms of when the teachers are using the space. I think we're open to allowing creating a partnership with DOE with regards to the use of the parking spaces, but during the day, no residents, during the day from 9 to 5, I guess when the teachers are in use of the space, the residents would not be allowed to use the parking spaces. So the only potential possibility for that would be during events, for instance, late events after the school day is over. So those are the kind of general conversations we hope to have with DOE.
The site is currently used by faculty, staff from the school. And so they felt that they were really losing something then by just doing housing. And they were rather insistent. They thought it was going to really hurt the retained faculty. And so that was sort of a condition from the Department of Education that fine, we'll give up the land, but then we want to make sure that there's some kind of replacement parking.
Which I understand. Are there 30 cars presently parking there? I mean, like, where'd you come? Pardon?
It varied. That's what.
That was what was agreed upon. Okay. My other question was on the residential amenities. You mentioned that it was going to be adjoining the school. Is that so?
I can speak to that.
Okay.
So
I just didn't understand it fully.
Yes, I can go back to the site.
Thank you.
Yes. So what happened here is the school has a basketball court there, and that is elevated.
Oh, that's what I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
it's on the second floor. Okay.
So we kept the active portion of our yard next to the active area. Yeah.
The school.
That's the basketball court.
And there's the open space and the gymnasium, the separate gymnasium building. The Sport Education built on that land. And then called the undeveloped lot where this would get built.
So the residents would be able to use the basketball court? Oh, no, so there's okay, so that's what I was wondering, how
I
they
can say that the noisy areas will be where the noisy areas and the quiet will be near the quieter areas, yes.
Thank you.
Another thing to highlight is that that outdoor space would be on top of the parking area. So our kids, as they're playing, they're not going to see the parking, right? They're going to see other areas that Susanna described, which are more open spaces, so there will be sort of a connection between the two communities, right?
From a visual, not that they're actually sharing.
Sharing of resources, yes. But just, we wanted the sites to connect and that the building is contextual and doesn't become such a kind of sour, eyesore, thank you, that's the great thing. An eyesore for the kids, right, for the children who are playing there every day and don't see a big structure. So now this kind of breaks up the massing.
Thank you.
Any other questions? The learning.
I know 80 units will be affordable, but how many units in total? Or are you saying?
It's all 100%.
Oh, 100% affordable, and the building will have 80 units. Okay, so top to ground affordability. Okay, that's all I need to know. Sorry.
So I got like 4 questions here, but I'll do a couple of them. One of them has to do with, I looked at the space before, so, and then I did some sketches for this, and so 81 units. I just wanted to know the breakdown of units, because this will require a lot of 1-bedroom apartments to have 81 units. So, and then, so how many units, what's the breakdown in units in single, 2-bedroom and 3 bedrooms? Because
Yes.
the 81 units is a lot for that space, and the space is small.
So we actually don't have the exact breakdown right now, because I know one of the important things for this community is family size units. So we were working to actually increase the family size units in this building. So that's why, that's still an active conversation. That's why I don't have the exact breakdown. But we're trying to have a good mix at the higher 2 and 3 bedroom versus not having only, like studios that sometimes you see. But there'll be a mix of, studios, 1, 2.
Okay, so the other one has to
I want to just put a point of clarification, if I may, Madam Chair, for this as we go forward in this application period. We do have a comprehensive land use questionnaire that will provide that answer to our stronger to ask for us breakdown. This would make that clear to the board member. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, the other one, you say 4.6 FAR, right? So you're maxing it out. Does that include that will include inclusionary zoning, right? What's the if it does include, how many of the units are inclusionary zoning? If you use that.
So the 80 units is assuming if like UAP passed, or the University Affordable Preference. So do you know what
So with that, what is required is that the units are affordable. So if you were to have a market rate building, you'd have to set aside a certain amount to be affordable. Here, the entire building is affordable. So the 4.6 is, you don't have to classify which is affordable and which isn't, because the entire building is affordable.
Okay, so because you are UAP, you got the 4.6 to make everything affordable, right?
Yes.
That's why you're able to get the 4.6, because I think it was around 3.6 with the current zoning, but so, and then the other question has to do with I was also looking at community facility space, because that area is a green zone, because we don't have a lot of food options, green options. In here, you only have 2 facilities, and they have nothing to do with green stuff. So how you, eating green stuff, like healthy food options. I'm not talking about the green spaces. Did you consider actually having more space for entities that sell green products and sell this stuff, because that's a green zone?
I can speak to that, because the zoning is R6. It doesn't have a commercial overlay, so we cannot have any commercial in the building as per the current zoning.
That's confusing, because you have a C, I think it was C45 overlay in the area. It's no longer that?
No,
They changed it?
There's no commercial overlay on this particular lot.
So they would change.
I'll also speak to kind of our RFP process, and also what was in the community vision report. Kind of what we saw in the surveys was there's several categories of community facility uses that were ranked really highly. One of them being arts and culture. So we really like that the team responded to that and provided a theater. One of the other ones we saw was there's a need for workforce development. So the combination of those two we thought were really great. You're right, there's a need for a lot of different community facility uses in the neighborhood. There's only, I guess, so much that can be provided for.
I'm just stating those facts because when you get public data, it doesn't represent what you're talking about because it's giving all the information that is not related to why you put this zoning together. Because if you look at the zoning map and you look at the data provided by the public, it says you have a 2.1 FAR for a community facility, and after that you could have more residentials. But it's like HVD has information here that they make the decisions on, and then when we look up the space, like the community looks at the space to figure out to interpret the zoning, they're given a different information. So we kind of going back and forth because there were other people. I know South Bronx Unite was talking about this facility. We were talking about it to also have food space, EJ stuff. I love the fact that you have passive housing. Yeah, we don't do that a lot. We should do more of that. But I just stating that you somebody that's from the outside, and then you all of a sudden you say 4.6 FAR. It was like, whoa, that's a lot of space. When the other people could analyze that, it was something else. So I just trying to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay, we are almost running out of time. So before taking, which might be perhaps the last question, is there anything else that you wanted? That's the end of the presentation?
Yeah, we were
Yes.
questions, yeah.
Okay. One more question? One more question.
Yes, I just want to go back to the parking situation. It's great that you want to give the teachers a space, but a lot of times when buildings are built, there's a lot of private houses in that area, so parking is already at a premium, and people feel like, well, there's a transportation nearby, but more cars come in the community, and it's already very, very saturated with cars. If you're not going to build the parking lot for the tenants, my suggestion would be to allow the tenants to use the space, because teachers are 7 to 4. That's what's on the street, right? You let the tenants use it from 4 to 7, and you can charge them. Okay, so there'll be a little bit extra income for the facility, but it's also important for the residents to have a place to park if you can give it to them. Because if you're not going to build a parking lot, which a lot of these buildings don't, they say there's no money for parking lots, and they don't build them, and then we have more of an influx of cars in the area, and it's already bad.
Something like that, we talk about things like that, and we still have to work this out with the Department of Education, exactly how it's gonna work. But sometimes there are complications also. And the first thing that goes to our mind is, well, the staff will use it during the day, and people live there at night. What happens if they don't move their car at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock the next morning? So it gets more complicated.
Well, you call it tow pound. You call the tow.
That's an
And that's
extra expense then for the community. I understand how complicated it can get.
Yeah.
But please, if you can report back on, I guess that the question was that if there's any way to negotiate, if you can report back on those recommendations that were explored, that'll be appreciated.
I have a
And
question.
the last thing I just want to say for emphasis again is the RFP selection was just made a few months ago. And that's why they're here, because we want the community. And we were here several times before when the RFP was first being issued. And we wanted to make sure the community board knows this is the project that was selected through that competitive process. And now they're going to be working with us to really fine tune it, and then come to the final amount of information that was needed to actually then apply and submit a ULURP application, because we need ULURP at this position. We're not doing a rezoning on this, but my point is, they absolutely will be back. We will be back, probably sometime mid next year, when ULURP is getting ready, and if necessary before that, if there needs to be more discussion.
Okay, we are gonna allow one more question from the members and then questions from the public.
quick question. I don't know if you guys know this. I know the buildings are going to be ranging 30 to 80% AMI. How do we know the breakdown in regards to that? I know the Euro would tell us unit sizes, but how do we know price? Like, how many would be on the 80%? How many would be on the 30%? If you can just give me some.
That's something that, again, we're finalize it, and we'll tell you, we'll come back.
Okay.
Thank you. Questions from the public? We'll limit those to 3 or 4.
My name is Jason Daly. How you doing? What I would like to know is this project going to be built union?
Okay.
Is this project going to be built union?
Union labor. There's not union requirement.
I didn't ask if it was required. I'm asking, is it going to be built with union labor? You guys know yet, or?
No, as of right now, it is not, because the program that we are applying for funding does not require it.
Well, the reason why I asked is the mayor's office just did a deal with the building trade council, and it specifically said that they were going to start building with affordable housing. So I'm a little confused. About a month later, I'm here and we're talking about a project that's not going to be built union, especially with so many members in this district that work for construction firms.
Sometimes when there are agreements like that, it's certain classes of housing, or certain sizes, it's not across the board.
They said affordable housing. And this is, you said 100% earlier affordable housing, right?
It's still, yes, it's still, sometimes it's for something more specific, it's just all affordable housing.
For example, all senior housing that's built, because it has a project-based Section 8 contract, federal funding, that automatically triggers prevailing wage construction in the city. That's just an example of 2 categories: senior housing and federal funding.
So how are you going about recruiting folks to work at that site, and what are the wages being offered, etc.?
Sure. So Lemley and Wolf, we're the general contractor in the project, and our approach, we have a very extensive approach for recruiting and working with the local community workforce development group to help us recruit and hire folks on the site, temporary and permanent jobs. We have a really great track record. The project that I mentioned that was just completed on 146th and Willis also had our partner there was Hope Program. We're partnering with that same group for this site, which again, we had a great track record in training and placing candidates on our site. And, we want to do it again, and we want to work with all the different groups. And again, we chose a partner because we have to do that for early on. And the Hope Program was who we selected. They work with NYCHA residents. They work with jobs. The jobs of BronxWorks has a it's JobWorks or job program, right?
Jobs Plus.
So we Jobs Plus. Thank you. We've also worked with BronxWorks and in placing residents. So we start the process early on, set the plan in terms of how many target the number of jobs and types of jobs that we can place on the site based on the size, right? It has to be aligned with the size. We create a plan, partner with local groups, and then implement and start letting the community know when jobs are going to become available with time, right? So we start advertising and doing outreach with early on in the process, but it can't be too early, right? Because as you know, people want, if they apply, they want to know when the job starts. So we start doing the outreach when we know when the closing timeline starts. And so if we're closing, just for example, December of this year, we would start 6 months before to start working on the outreach and start lining up resumes and trying to, line up the workforce.
And they will keep the community board informed when it's time to start reaching out. Same thing as far as marketing, when that time comes,
yes.
they'll also tell the community.
That's right.
So I'm not sure what is the requirement in terms of procuring services for this type of projects. Is there like a period where folks, let's say electricians, people providing air conditioners and other things of that nature? Is there like a period or a application that can be shared with the community board so we can also disseminate that information? How does that work?
Right, so when we start, like I mentioned, when we have the timeline of when we expect to start construction, we would come to the community board and let you know, these are the jobs that we expect will become available by phases, right? So in this particular project, there is no demolition, so we will not be expecting any demolition. So initially, you're gonna go right into excavation and foundation work, concrete work, that kind of work. Flaggers, right, to manage the different traffic situation. Again, all of that will be planned. We'll have it done and prepared up to 6 months before we actually close, so that we can implement that plan.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Give me 1 second.
Okay, all right, so in promotional equity, we want to make sure that, and I want to press upon you, that while you mentioned organizations that you work to do workforce development, that you encourage those organizations to seek out new and fresh employees or folks who have not had the opportunity, so we're not using or recycling the same folks who get the jobs, same jobs all the time. We want to promote that we do real workforce development work and make that extremely comprehensive, and that you show proof to the community board that you are doing that during this phase, because as we talk about all the things that has happened in this area of the Bronx, there's been a very large concern about equity, and which is affordability of housing, real service, real jobs, and real workforce agreements that have teeth in it that can be enforceable by the community board. Going together with that, I wanted to ask about what you have a social service provider. What type of social services is provided to on this site?
David's on the phone from Help USA. Hopefully, folks can hear him. David, are you able to speak?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can everybody hear?
Yes.
Yes.
We'll probably put it on the table so they hear you.
We're anticipating that this is going to be, social services are going to be provided through a New York City 1515 grant, which would allow for two full-time social service workers plus a supervisory person that would be on the site 40 hours a week to provide social services to residents as needed. Really, until people move in and have individualized social service plans, it's difficult to say exactly what people need. But by and large, the focus of the social service program is to make sure that people stay in permanent housing. Given some of the difficulties that people may be facing in their lives through any number of reasons, we want to make sure that they have advocates in the buildings that will work with them to make sure they are able to maintain long-term, stable, permanent housing, while also being a member of the larger community in the building and paying their rent and participating in different activities. So most of the time, our social service social workers are working with people to make sure that they're not isolating in their apartments, that they're able to maintain whatever benefits they're entitled to, and link them to other services that they need that are specific to them. So it really is all about making sure that people stay housed where they are so that they can enjoy living in the building and not have to worry about being evicted.
So is this supportive housing for folks who are just looking for supportive housing with mental health illnesses, or what is the type of supportive? What type of housing will you have support services? What is it be identified as? Because we know that the board has been hearing affordable housing, but it has a mental health component, it has a senior component, it has a veteran component. So has that been figured out about what population has access to supportive housing?
So at this point, the term sheet that is being explored for the project is the ELA term sheet, which is extremely low income and low moderate, right? I forgot the acronym, sorry. And in that term sheet, there's 30%, up to 30% of the units would be classified as formerly homeless, right? So you want to house folks that not necessarily, in this case, there isn't a specific program or mental health, it's formerly homeless residents. So I think right now that's the highest under the term sheet, but it's still being finalized and worked out. But up to 30% of the units could potentially, again, would be under the 1515 program that David just described.
And my last question is, who manages the theater? What will the theater be used for?
So the theater, we partnered with a local group called ID Studio.
Okay. Yeah.
They are local to Mount Haven, have done a lot of programming with different types of populations, both children, older adults, just a very nice mix. And we really, when we were looking to partner with different groups, we thought that the work that they were doing, being so diverse, working with NYCHA residents, very reflective of the diversity within this neighborhood, would fit really well in this building. And they've done programming that is, again, concerts, theater, arts, and incorporating arts and education as part of it. And part of our idea of adding a theater space here and a group that that already is rooted in this community and has done these type of programmings before was to also incorporate and work with the social service provider to making sure that they would do events that are welcoming to the entire population, right? And you can have a really well integrated community in talking about issues around diversity, equity, inclusion, also environmental equity. This building is supposed to be a model for the city, and as a model for the city in climate resiliency, our residents, we hope, can engage in that kind of conversation. How are we engaging in making sure that we're using healthy materials, that we're providing, that we built it, if we build it healthy, and we can prove to you that we can keep it energy efficient and keep your bills as low as possible because it's so energy efficient, then we also want you to be healthy and contribute towards that healthy environment. And we have other local partners that we want to engage to continue that conversation. I think through arts and culture is the way to get it done, because it introduces it. Yeah, it introduces the topic in a way that really involves the community.
During the pandemic, particularly, so there was all types of evidence that healthy people need healthy buildings. And the city created, through the mayor's office of climate and environmental justice, a pilot program they wanted to do, that they would take a few buildings around and have a lot of requirements as to what would be needed to be helpful. And we offered this site, because we were in the process at the point of putting together the RFP. And so we said, fine, there's a site in South Bronx in a hard heat area. And that's why there's balconies, which most of the affordable buildings don't have. There's a lot of design features in this building that will help people have more healthy lives, and hopefully can then be used as models for other buildings.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ted. We love ID Studios. I have, the time is over, but I do have a question with regards to who's given priority for the application once I believe it will be through the housing lottery, right? So what percentage from members from the community is given priority to apply, given that you're talking about former homeless people, etc., and also with regards to the leasing department and the pool of applicants that you'd be looking at to fill the units?
Well, as you know, for many years we've had a community preference, and with 50% of the units, preference was given to people from the community district. There was a lawsuit that went on for several years against the city, and then finally there had to be a settlement of that lawsuit. So as a result of that settlement, the number now is 20%. By the time this building is marketed, it might be 15. That's part of the settlement.
15%.
20 to a certain date, and then it drops down to 15. Right now it's 20.
Yeah, I am just concerned because I feel like that particular area, I don't want to generalize. I don't have all the data, but I feel like some areas here in the South Bronx, like you have a big concentration of low income people, and that is also a problem.
Yeah.
That's my point of
Well,
view.
again, this will be a mix. You know, you said 30% to 80% of the area median income. 80%, which is, you know, that's not low. That's really not.
That's not what she said. She said low-end affordability.
She said, hey, yeah.
Low AMI.
No, that's the program, but you can go up to 80% AY in that program.
Any, we have to move forward. I know you had a comment. If we can do comments, you know, in a very candid way, please. You can have a minute to
No,
express
just
your
real quick,
concerns.
why isn't this project under the mayor's plan to do affordable housing? All with the buildings shrinking. They literally just announced it, so I'm asking why isn't this? We talked about prevailing wage as much as 6 years has. So I was just asking.
I'm sorry, I don't know the details of what you're talking about. I'm not doubting, I just don't know the details, so I really can't answer you as to why this is or isn't.
So I guess that the question would be, if we could get some clarity on what are the requirements from the mayor's office for the construction unions to be part of this affordable housing development, right? Because not every affordable housing development will fall into the current requirements, right? And the rules are what they are. If they require further advocacy from the unions, right, that's where the members come handy. But thank you so much for sharing your concerns, and you know, thank you for the presentation. Thank you so much. Okay, we will move forward to the Euler on 438 Concord Avenue rezoning. 15 minutes. That's what you asked for.
Well, everyone's got to eat,
We'll-
so I'm sure everyone's excited about it.
Yeah, we'll figure
talk
it
fast.
out. We're exactly 15 minutes into 8 p.m. and then our meeting can have a 30-minute session.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I think I'm gonna have some rotisserie chicken for dinner. I don't know why. Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Right here, walking around.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Richard Lobel.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, Richard Lobel of Sheldon Lobel PC with Amanda Iannotti from my firm. We've been before the community board before for schools on Concord, Wales Avenue. It's good to be back here for this, the 438 Concord Avenue rezoning. For the record, I'm going to have the team members introduce themselves. I'm going to run through the land use application. Alejandro will talk a little bit about the program, and then Martine can talk a little bit about the building, and then we're happy to answer questions. So,
Alejandro Waldman, I am the managing director. Please stand so you get in the elevator so that the recording catch your voice.
Sorry, my name is Alejandro Waldman. I am the managing director of Pink Wall LLC, the company that is behind this proposal.
Thank you.
Kevin Williams from GZA. I'm an environmental planner on the project.
I'm Martin de la Paola, architect, and I'm responsible for the plans of the.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
Andres Finkelstein, I'm a partner with Alejandro.
Okay. Are you all based in New York City with your firms, with the architects firm? You are all based in the city?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So, 438 Concord Avenue, 145th between Concord and Wells Avenue. So the site, we'll go through the map so you can see the site itself. It's roughly 25,000 square feet. Currently it has a vacant lot and an auto body repair shop. And so when Alejandro and Andres first approached me, they looked at the zoning and they said this is an M12 district. What does that mean? M12 allows for 2 FAR for commercial uses, a total of 4.8 for commercial and community facilities. So basically on this site, you can right now build a 122,000 square foot building, which looks much like this. The proposal is for a 138,000 square foot building. The height would be roughly the same. the layout would be roughly the same. But when they approached me with this project, given the fact that both of them have had experience working in New York, have created the Hub Studios in Bushwick, more than 100 music and art studios devoted to local artists and musicians, which is almost entirely leased. They approached me and they said, is there something else we can do here that maybe better serve the needs of the Hub Studios, as well as to allow for a multifaceted building? And they took a look, and we've been going at this now for close to 3 years. And they took a look and they said, okay, they wanted to see whether they could do a mixed-use building. So there would be residential units. There would be affordable units as part of that. MIH, 25% of those units would be affordable, as with the city program. There would also be space for these studios, for these art and music studios, and Alejandro can talk about that. And what else are there things that maybe would be attractive to the local community? We looked at the district community needs statements. There was a healthcare and services aspect to that. The first 2 floors would have community facility space in the term of a healthcare facility. What else would be needed? There's a fresh food store proposed for the ground floor, roughly over 3,000 square feet devoted to fresh foods. There, in addition to that, would be on the top floor greenhouse space for residents of the building to be able to plant and conduct urban farming. And in general, the building has a lot to offer in that regard. And so we talked a little bit about that. We talked about their experience and the Hub Studios. And this is what we came up with. Next slide, please. So what are the actions that would be necessary to put this building on what now is a vacant lot and an auto body repair shop? 2 things primarily. The first would be a rezoning. The rezoning would involve 5 lots and a portion of the 6th lot. 4 of the lots are part of the development site. And this would allow for rezoning for this new 10-story building, which you saw in terms of the rendering. Martin can talk a little bit about the layouts and what that building would mean. The floor area of the building, again, would be roughly 5.6 FAR. So the existing FAR 4.8, this building 5.6. And it would have a total of 87 dwelling units, of which more than 25%, actually, about 27 of those units would be affordable. And we'll talk about the unit size and such. In addition to that, there's a text amendment aspect of the application. The text amendment, this is a technical one to make the MX18 special district apply, but this one is the one that everyone knows about, mandatory inclusionary housing. To require 25% of those units to be affordable at affordability levels which are set by HPD according to AMI charts. We can go over those as well. Next slide. So what does it produce as far as the numbers? The numbers don't tell the story because the building itself is beautiful, as proposed. Martin is an excellent architect. He's going to go over the layouts and such. But the building itself, as far as the numbers go, 141,000 square feet. The building itself is 138,000 square feet. There's also these 2 additional lots with 2 two-family homes, not part of the development. So 138,000 square feet. This is the potential breakdown. 7,600 square feet light manufacturing, which is able to create jobs in this area for smaller tradespeople, pottery, glass, tradesmen, furniture workshops, 3D printing spaces, and the like. So it has a manufacturing component. It's important to them to keep this as an MX district, a mixed-use district. I know across the street, 431 Concord came in, they asked for rezoning, they just rezoned to R7D. That's not the goal here. We want to do a mixed-use district, an MX district, which allows for R7D, but also allows for a manufacturing commercial component to make sure that there is retail to service the community, commercial to service local artists, and potentially have studio space and such, as well as healthcare. So again, 7,600 square feet light manufacturing, 3,300 square feet for retail on the cellar and first floor with a potential supermarket. That would actually be greater than 3,300 total square feet. The cellar square footage doesn't count, it's not part of the floor area. 25,500 square feet for commercial office on the cellar, first, second, and third stories. Again, potential recording studio and professional offices. The guys have a lot of experience with this. They'll go through that in a moment. 6,600 square feet on the first 2 stories for potential healthcare facility or daycare. And then 95,000 square feet of the residential, again, which would result in these 87 units. 87 units here, and 24 units of those 87 would be affordable. So I'm just going to go talk for a minute the architectural aspects of the building with regards to the environmental sustainability. It's a very strong environmental building with limited energy consumption, reduction of carbon footprint, etc. As well as parking spaces in the building, we are handling our parking needs. This is 43 parking spaces as are required by zoning. 50% of the units in the building get parking, with 52 bike parking spaces. Again, that's part of the zoning. I think one of the things that I love about the application, and I think about which the applicant team is proud, is that there are a mix of units here. And if you look at this, 6 studios and 12 one-bedrooms out of 87 units. So a full 69 units, if my math is correct, would be 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and 4 bedrooms. 80% of the units in this building are 2-bedroom or greater. That is a huge factor here, because if you want to get larger units, you want to get families in, small families, larger families, then you need to have larger units. So you have this opportunity to have these larger units here. This is not typical. This is more than you usually have in a building like this, which is great. So what else does that bring with it? It brings 2 things with it. One of those is that the affordable units are also in that ratio. 2/3 of those units are above 2 bedrooms or above. So that's a really nice thing, because part of MIH is that you're not just creating affordable units that are jammed onto the first 2 floors, or studios and they're on the first 2 floors. The building has to have units with affordability throughout the building. These units appear on all floors through the 10th floor, and also in the sizes as are reflected in the units generally. The second thing on a personal level, which I like, is that each of the units has a washer and dryer. Having been to enough community board hearings, I know that that's like a huge amenity. So the idea that these affordable units are going to be nice sized and that they're going to have washers and dryers in them, I just think it's a real benefit to a lot of people. Next slide, please. Okay. I think at this point, again, realizing I probably have 6.5 minutes left, is we would have Martinez talk a little bit about the context of the building and the plans. And then, actually, Alejandro, why don't you first come and talk a little bit about the program?
Okay. Thank you very much for having us. You know, it's a great pleasure for me to be here. We work really hard to be here, and we listen to the community. We talk to people, and it's important that you understand the vision behind this. Richard talked about it, but I just want to emphasize that we are not the typical real estate developer that we build buildings and that's it. What we are trying to do is to strengthen communities and to build communities and to integrate people the best way we can. So not with the approach of segregating different, so the city is segregated in different zonings. The factor that is going to unite people is, in fact, this mixed-use zoning. Why is important? Let's say we talk about why light manufacturing is important, because we imagine a woodworking shop producing on the back and selling on the front store. The same for a 3D printer who can produce the product there and sell it on the front. There are semi-private areas, semi-public areas. There are public areas within the building where we expect to do art galleries where people can show their work. We created this company called My Hub Studios, where we have probably 350 people working every day in our studios. They come from different backgrounds, but they have high income, or they generate high income for themselves and for their families. There are many musicians, there are many artists, there are professionals, there are psychologists, there are people in the well-being industry. And I think it's important not only to create affordable housing, which we are doing, but to create jobs. Because clearly this borough or this community board needs not only to create housing, but we need to create jobs. We need to bring people from different backgrounds. It's a very humane thing. Like, let's say when you go to public schools and you mix with people from different backgrounds, and as a child I become friend of you and you and you. We are all the same when we are kids. Then when we grow up, there is no distance between people. People are not afraid of each other, and then they can help each other. Clearly, he comes from a wealthy family. He comes from a lower income bracket, but we interact. We are not afraid of each other, and I think that's the important thing. So when we thought about this project, we had this in mind, this vision behind, that we not only need to create a building, we need to really, we have an opportunity to really set a road for the community board here, where we want to go. Because if we build this with a combination of affordable housing, free market apartments, the idea of bringing so many good jobs from my hub studios, this idea of having a strong commercial background. I participate as a listener during the pandemic, and I heard people in this forum crying and saying, we need fresh food, we need healthy food. So we are thinking about, participate in the fresh program and providing that to the people. We talk already to companies that are willing to participate and they want to do it. We also hear from people saying we would like to have a bank branch because it's an underserved community, and we talk to some 2 banks that are willing to open a branch in the area. We come from a very humble beginning and a humble approach where we want to listen to you, and your feedback is very important, because when we talk about, for example, providing as part of the community facility a healthcare provider, we do it because we look at the numbers, we talk to people, we see what's happening, and we think it's important. But maybe the background is, the feedback is, I think the priority is something else. Well, there is flexibility but we have a vision to address some of the main issues in the community, and also to set, a path where the neighborhood should go. Because if we follow this model, I don't know if you're aware, but when we research about the history of the mixed-use zoning, it was born here in South Bronx. It came from. We should feel very proud about the Bronx, because now the city, with this proposal, City of Yes, is actually promoting exactly this, but in a much bigger scale. To have this flexibility, because this flexibility is what will allow people to face new crises. In the pandemic, it was clear that, imagine here, you can work, you can live, you can have entertainment options. In my hub, we are adding a section for events. It's a full immersion program where, let's say, if you produce your music in one studio and you rent this event space, you can present your music, your company, and we set up the whole audio visuals around the presentation. It's a place where people will have the option to not only live, but grow their businesses. Clearly, people can work from home, can go to the office to the other floor. It's integrated, but that's more or less what we are trying. It's very ambitious, and clearly you have to buy into it. But that's what we are trying to do.
Do you already have a health services provider, or is that also part of an RFP that you have to put out so that organizations apply to be the health provider on site?
What we did at this stage of the process is to talk to someone who is very well connected to a number of companies that we listed in some of the presentations. These are 3 companies that have a strong presence already in the Bronx, Montefiore, Essen, and all of them we think are very interested to participate.
Invited to apply.
We haven't gone through a formal process of getting proposals from them at this stage, because we think it's probably too early.
Okay.
But we have made a lot of approaches, informal approaches in different categories.
What is the square size or the area, the size of the area for the health services provider?
Go back to the numbers. Go back to the third.
6,000 square feet.
Yeah. 6,600 square feet.
And for the grocery store?
3,300 square feet.
That's zoning square footage. There's probably an equal seller, non-zoning square footage.
Okay. Does the city still have that program that allows the developers to include the grocery, but you're not yet in the process of actually getting the provider.
Correct. So what we would need to do would be to increase, if this is accepted, this is the building. If we said, okay, maybe we'd like a larger grocery store, it would be a minimum of 6,000 square feet. And then you could take advantage of additional square footage. So if that's something that the community is interested, we've done other rezonings where they've rezoned to this exact district in R7D with a C commercial overlay, and then have gone and to fresh. And that would require us to come back to the community board.
So that was my next question. What is your experience developing projects where you incorporate health centers and grocery stores? Because I've heard from other developers that they actually don't like that city program. They think it's too cumbersome. I don't know, Susan, if you have any experience on that, but the program, is it worth it for developers? How do you feel about it?
You know, Sandy Hornick is one of the planners at City Planning who helped create that program. He actually works with us. And it's very heartening because about 15 years ago, nobody was using this program. But of late, if you look at the applications of the community boards, there's actually now an increasing number. We've personally done about 3 of them in the last year because it's great. It's like community boards want the grocery store. Developers love square footage. The additional square footage has affordability. So like everyone is just in love with the program. So the bottom line is developers we work with love it. And we'd be happy to come back to the community board with that aspect of it.
I'd be interested in chatting more with the person you just mentioned who was part of the program design.
We'll bring him in he's a lovely gentleman. We'll bring him in for a sit down with the community board.
And I wanted to mention, like, I think some of the problems developers have is the Euler process, right? Just to get the fresh market in, get it operational 2 years, to do that. But I think you're seeing a lot more and of course the margins on food stores, generic ones or fresh markets are very difficult. But recent news has shown, and it's probably because of inflation, that food stores are doing much better, particularly in New York City. But Richard is right. I've worked on many fresh market applications recently, and if somebody knows what they're getting into, can work with the community board and know that there's something community boards, are interested in rather than popping it on them at the last second, then it can work. But that's generally the issue that most developers have is the Euler timeline.
With regards to the music studios, and you mentioned other workforce development opportunities that will be available, right? And you mentioned that you got community input to come up with those ideas. With regards to the music studios, how will that work? Are you making the space available so that the community members can rent it out and do their work? Are you bringing a company that's going to be, we have the producers, we have the engineers, and then the community can come and rent the space? How would it work?
Typically, our business model is very simple. We create the spaces are state-of-the-art soundproof with the highest sound transmission coefficients. It's really professional. We don't provide the equipment. We typically let people who produce music to basically become members. They become members of the company, of My Hub Studios, which means is that they take possession of one studio. And most of them are music producers, and they bring clients and they produce music for them. So, and they work for very, very famous musicians in many cases. In other cases, they are people who are just starting because, in the music sector now, the technology has allowed people to jump into this sector, and there are so many young people involved into this. And they cooperate, but this is how it is. There are other business models where the owner of the business provide all the equipment and they lease it by the hour. It's not what we do here. Right?
Okay. We would like to learn more about the model that you're using. We have the hip hop museum, so I feel like there is a need, but there's also a need for like the young people, because you have kids in middle school and in high school that are producing their own beats and doing a lot of cool stuff, but they don't necessarily have the exposure to a studio or other resources. So it'll be interesting to know what kind of model
The
you have.
idea is that typically these people work in small spaces, like 150 square feet. As they grow and the business prosper, we build them in a way that they are connected by a door. They can open it and grow into the next studio. But eventually, what we are trying to do here as well is to build that, but as well to imagine you have this space full of soundproof, also soundproof, but full of these TVs or screens around it with lights, and people can perform as well and take their music to the next level, which is live music within a very nice tailor-made space for them. But this space can also be used for someone who is presenting their company to the community and they want to use the space. It's not going to be a huge space. It's something like this probably, where people can complement what they do on their studios.
Okay. Thank you.
But also, we are fully occupied. We don't have even one studio available.
Okay. Thank you for answering those questions. I would like for our members to also have the opportunity to ask questions. And I do have a couple more, but I am going to give the opportunity.
Okay, once again, concerned, I think I'm kind of piggybacking on the question from before about the parking situation.
Sure. Yes.
Okay, because like, for example, you're having 87 units and I'm seeing 43 vehicular, no, you can leave it right there, 43 vehicular spaces. That's kind of cutting it into half, almost on a residential level.
I
Okay,
understand.
and that's my concern.
100%. So, there's certain projects that come in and seek to waive all their parking. The guys are not doing that. They understand that there's a need for parking. They don't want to overly burden the area. So what are they doing? They're providing what's required. It's 43 spaces for 87 units. You're required to provide 50% parking spaces, totally devoted to building residents. And the other thing that they look at, and Kevin, who's our environmental consultant, can talk to this, is that we're about 700 feet away from the subway. And when we do our parking counts, the city, Kevin, takes that into account. Is that the case?
Right. I mean, we did a comprehensive traffic study, pedestrian vehicular parking study, looking at a half mile, quarter mile. Obviously, there's not a lot of off-street parking garages. Having said that, the car ownership in this district's in this census tract's about 23%. So we're going to expect that there's going to be some extra spaces. Having said that, this design is not completed, and one thing that I think we can notice, maybe there's some flex availability given the composition of the building, right? So you have a community facility, you have offices, you have studios. Some of this is going to be internal, where people live and work and recreate in the building. So it's going to be more efficient from a parking standpoint than a normal building. So I would expect that the parking demand from the residential would be somewhere in the 20s, which would leave some space available. And what's going to happen here is under CHO, City for Housing Opportunity, parking is going to be waived, right? So if he does have a deficit, he doesn't have takers for the residential spaces, he'll be able to convert those other 23 spaces, potentially to other uses in the building. But the bottom line of our analysis, and actually this area is very interesting, right? There's a lot of institutional uses. We've worked on multiple schools in the area. There's actually, after some of those spaces converted to schools, like the neighborhood charter that's a block away on Wales here, there used to be semi-trailer trucks taking all the on-street parking spaces. Now those have gone away. So this is actually a really sort of unique neighborhood where there is overnight available parking in the area. Having said that, this is not going to have the same type of impact, sort of as the previous presentation, which has much higher residential parking. Basically, this block is already mostly single-family homes. We're taking out the last sole sort of industrial, site here, and there's parking in the area. So I think City of Housing Opportunity, the particular characteristics of this area and the parking ownership that's here and in the South Bronx in general, I think that the zoning requirements are overstated, and that I think this is, our study shows Department of Transportation reviewed it and believes the capacity of the parking is acceptable, particularly given the transit network. That's 6 lines, 700 feet.
Well, I
Yeah, I believe
understand that, but
50%.
Mike,
I think that's.
mainly, I realize you're going according to the requirement of 50%.
Sure.
But I'm wondering if, perhaps you can go beyond that. Is that a possibility?
I'll tell you one idea that I have, which
Okay.
goes a little bit out of the box, but I think if we care really enough about the environment, we need to find other solutions, because we live in a city, public transportation should be the main way that people should to go around. But I think we should, but I think this, I think people, sometimes they need a car for different reasons. But I think we can probably implement the car sharing services where we have, instead of having 50 cars, we have 5 cars, and people, they can be electric.
I understand what you're saying, but okay, now this is gonna be my last
so
question.
much. I will have to take a pause for a second because I have to acknowledge that it's already 8:15 and we need to have our session with the members, and I want to make sure that we do not lose quorum tonight. So I'll give you 30 seconds to wrap up.
Sure.
So that way we can go into executive session.
Thank you.
I have to.
So, just in conclusion, we've been working with Alejandro and Andres for now over 3 years. And having looked at some of the district needs that are in the statement, and kind of looking at some of the other applications in this area, I think that this site really offers something that's kind of nice for the area and the community. We're happy that you're asking questions about fresh foods and about the hub studios, because it just doesn't end tonight. It's basically a process where we want to engage, and we want to be able to engage the youth, because we know that that's also a concern, and the opportunity to have kids come in, use this multimedia space, and to be able to create is something that's really exciting for all the teams. So we just thank you for your time tonight, and we're happy to engage in this conversation in the future.
Thank you so much. We will, of course, have more questions, and we can follow up with you via email. And also, you have to come to our public hearing, right, at the end of the month.
Sure.
So our team will be following up with next steps. Thank you so much for your time. Having said that, we're gonna go into an executive session now with the members. So only those folks who have voting ability should stay. Good night and get home safe, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
No, I'm not part of it.
Do me a favor, could I get one of those? I didn't get a hard print. Caesar, a hard print of the
Thank you so much,
physical.
everyone.
Is there an extra one of these around?
I gave mine up.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
We have to, yeah, I gave
Okay.
mine to Delorme, because I
Okay.
figured Paola can.
Oh, okay. Then maybe we'll get a copy of it later. Steve, maybe I guess, no, I don't want to grab your copy. And you have your notes here too. But I'll tell you what, I'm gonna get Steven to make an extra copy for us. Hopefully we can make that. Thank you, Caesar. Thank you so much, Caesar.
Mi mamá, tú la conoces.
A ver, let me get
Ella ha ido
closer.
a actividades de
Get closer, I'm old now.
Ella ha ido,
Real
ella
close.
fue al concierto de aquella vez en el parque con el canario. ¿Es canario?
Nice to meet you as well.
Yo no sabía.
Thank you very much.
All the members can stay, all the board members stay.
Thank you very much for your question. I'm trying to find solutions, you see.
Well, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, you gotta work with That's understandable.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We are
So as of,
lots.
okay, as of right, that's how much is as of right. You didn't get that.
I think it's 100 and the maximum. We have 2 lots that we are not using. We are only using the DR rights. For the 2 residential houses, we only use DR rights. I think the maximum is 165.
Oh, and you want to go up?
No, we are not using all ones. We are using less.
Thank you.
Thank you, nice to meet you, all the best in the public hearing.
A little luck, actually, something, something, right?
Ma'am?
Mi gente, don't leave, please.
I want to ask a question, I should be able to ask a question.
Let's wrap, yes.
I saw
Can
the
we
long
go into
drive.
executive session now, please? So we have a voting item?
Oh, wait.
September calendar.
Can we,
Give me a
which
copy
voting
of
item
her.
we speaking on?
The liquor licenses.
Oh, the liquor license first.
Okay.
What are we doing
Go
first?
back
Liquor license
to the license situation.
Get out of this committee.
We're gonna go back.
What? These chicanitos?
Oh, this is great. So
That was really.
Ladies and gentlemen, the recording is still going on.
When she's hungry, I guess she says things that she.
Wait,
I missed
so
that.
Lauren, you're getting aggressive now.
no, not me. We're gonna bifurcate liquor license and permits.
Oh,
Not me. No.
Good job, council.
Sorry. We're gonna bifurcate that.
Yeah, I got it. He's gonna get me another one. Thank you, Caesar. And those are your notes.
One not to see an application from a chicanito. I thought that's what you were saying.
Order,
Yeah.
order, please, order.
Thank you.
We're gonna get through this nice and
Well,
quickly.
I think, Ted, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Yeah.
Ted.
You realize that you really can't go into executive session.
No, they're not doing executive session. Thank you, Ted.
I said it so funny because this board, this committee, many years ago, we did that on 29th Street, used to do it.
No, that's what's on camera. It's on YouTube channel live.
And then I think
It's still on camera?
Yeah.
It's on camera.
Okay, so we turn it off?
Your face is like in the camera.
Right now?
You're right there. That's the camera right there.
Where is it?
Right here.
It's a 360 angle. That's the whole thing.
It's actually super good.
It goes around.
Yeah, that's
Nothing much. Nothing's gonna get missed.
That's right.
That's why it's on
Nothing will get missed.
Okay.
I could go home and eat, I'll do that.
Okay.
Get home
Good night,
safe.
Ted.
Okay.
Good night, Ted. Take care.
Okay, so we have 4 license applications. We have a package that's very complete. Unless we really want to discuss something in particular, I want us to go into taking the vote, if you agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
We agree.
so we're gonna vote each one by one.
Okay.
El Chicano Sports Bar. All
You know
in, all in favor of renewing that license?
Wait, we have to make a motion.
Wait. First of all, can we recap about what we spoke on last time?
Yes.
Because
so-
there was even the person came in, right? Spoke about her brother that
Right.
died.
We had a public comment.
Mhm.
Period. So let me just go into that history. So during the time of days, we met about this when this application first came up in executive at the executive committee meeting for liquor licenses, and we talked about it. And we had public session where a member of the community came and spoke about the impact that they would the space, and how there was a death
Her
associated.
brother died.
A death, yeah. You want me to go?
No.
There was death associated with that, with an issue that happened outside of it, but it was likely connected, according to NYPD, to this issue. So, just have a seat, right? So that we could be able. So this was the issue. It was likely connected to that, and so NYPD also showed number of 311 and 911 complaints that was connected to it. And so the executive committee made a decision to vote this issue down. And a letter was sent to SLA and to the state elected officials, the city council elected officials, and to the state city council and SLA that this was voted down. So while we provided an audience for this group, is because they've resubmitted another application, as we saw again,
With a different name.
with a name of a new owner.
Yeah.
But as the
Same.
vice chair of the full board indicated, they used the same name.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no direct disconnect
Right.
that was made to this. And another piece to that was the issue around the business that's directly next door, which is the hall, where allegedly NYPD, as part of their concern, reported that there were likely underage drinking activity that was happening there. So this is another thing that took effect. The 911 calls, the death that's likely associated to it,
The death that happened
complaints that was
inside.
connected to it, that was
Somebody
all the issue. And the executive committee made voted it down. Now, under the current bylaws, the executive committee can, during the recess months, the executive committee can make decisions as the full board. And that is what stood because of that history that was so compound on top of so other. The reason why we provided an audience today, because this information was not available to the full board. So this is more of a for information for the full board to hear, hear the group that was present, filed the license, two, to hear what the executive committee made a decision to do, and to likely concur with what the decision the executive committee made. Not to change it, because again, under the bylaws, the executive committee worked as the full board on this issue. We worked on it because we understood that under SLA rules, if we did not make a decision during the summer months, then it was likely that they will automatically get their liquor license. I don't know if there are any more questions, Chair.
Yeah, I just feel like the whole application is messy.
Totally.
It's very, very messy. It's very unclear.
I also
and
feel that they mixed. I feel like they probably know of each other and they're just trying to help each other
100%.
out to keep because there's the fact that they're affiliated is going to be a lot of influence from each other, and there was a lot of deaths in it.
We don't have a way to confirm the actual affiliation, right?
Well, the fact that they kept the same name, it's already affiliated.
Well,
no, there's no way that you're gonna keep an establishment and have a new establishment and keep the same name. That's absurd.
Sorry, just to clarify, is it Chicanito and Chicano? Is it Chicanito and Chicano? Those are not the same name.
No.
Yeah, legally are not the same
They're
name.
not the same name, so just be clear about that.
Chicanito was presented, sir.
Yeah.
This was presented as the same name, the first one. Now, this is the second business that went in, so that's what I did. So she's talking about the business that has the exact same name.
Chicanito.
Chicanito, right.
All I have is just one small comment, and as much as I try not to be judgmental, but there is a big police report section here, and that did catch my attention. That's, you know, I mean, well, there are several pages here of incidences, so this is an ongoing situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
For starters, I am very good into reading body language. The gentleman, he was getting agitated, like,
and that's how you know. That's
just
how you
because
know.
we were asking so many questions.
I kind of noticed that
To
also.
start, they have to fill out the application and make it more clear, because they are applying for, putting aside the whole Chicanos thing, on the Taquitos application, actually, they are husband and wife. Under the Taquitos, they have a Taquitos Corp and they have the food truck. So they're putting all of the application for the entire corporation. So it's a little bit messy. This situation with the Chicano is also very messy.
Well, now I'm going to piggyback on what Freddie, you brought out a great point. If you are running a business, your attorney should be present at something like this. And that was a 100% good.
Especially with the 311.
They couldn't speak English.
Yeah.
No, and then especially if you're trying to save
but I
your
still
establishment.
feel that you should have had somebody from your business translating for you. And I think that should have been the job of your attorney that handles your business.
I just feel that.
So that's a little bit not, especially irresponsible. If I'm the owner of something, I got to make sure that I have the right translation coming from my business.
We get your point. So I feel like there are more questions here that we need to answer, and we can think about the proper follow-up.
So this is already this is already no.
Yeah, we can't. It's already no.
For el Chicano.
For
right?
Chicano,
So
we
am I
already have
making
put
the
it through,
motion or
right?
not?
Yes, we're
I
making.
make a motion to table
Okay.
the request for
To table
Chicano
not
sports
to-
bra.
What
it's
table
already
means?
denied
So
for
each
the-
of-
I second that motion.
Right.
It's already
That's right. So
denied.
this, ladies and gentlemen, let me just one more
What's
time.
been denied?
Wait, what
Chicano,
Please,
Chicanito.
please.
Yeah.
So you were part of that meeting, Cesar.
Yeah,
Where
no,
you-
that's why I asked
So
clarity.
this one was already decided. Chanito was already decided.
Yeah, that's my
Executive
saying.
session.
Chicanito, yeah.
That was already decided.
Yeah, that's my
So we're
saying.
only talking about.
Let's go to el Taquitos.
I thought we were talking
Chicano.
about Chicano. That's already done.
It's done.
All right, so we established Chicanos is a negative.
Yes.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to vote on the liquor license of, I have to say affirm or deny. To just vote. The motion is short. Yeah, DeLorne Moran is making a motion to vote on the liquor license for Boca Cafe Bronx Incorporated. I just looked on the list.
Wait, did we do a motion
who
for the?
seconded the motion?
So what's the motion? You didn't clear out. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Do I need to vote on the position, or do I just need to say that we're voting on it?
Vote of permission. on the
Okay,
position.
I, DeLorne Moore, withdraw the earlier motion. The new motion on the floor is I, DeLorne Moore, make a motion to vote in favor of Boca Cafe Bronx liquor license. Do I need to say 47 Bruckner Boulevard, new application?
Who's seconding the motion?
I will second that motion.
Discussion on the motion. Boca Cafe.
So the clerk will call the roll.
Is there any discussion?
Any discussion on the motion?
I don't really
understand why people need
I
beer for
understand why
lunch.
cafe shop needs a liquor license. I
Well,
really
no, what
don't.
happens is it's probably because when people want to eat and
Isn't
drink,
it
and
because
probably eat a
they
sandwich,
sell
people want
beer,
to drink
and if they sell
wine.
beer and wine,
And that's
they
actually
need a
it's
liquor
not
license.
the area is not that bad, but it's not bad to drink wine.
Yeah.
You wanna sit down.
Maybe you wanna
especially
have
we don't
some
wanna-
extra dinner.
So make your decision clear on when you vote.
Also on discussion, I do want to mention that their application says to 11 p.m. and they're saying they have staffing
They have to
issues.
fix it.
So we're voting on an application that says to 11 p.m. or are we voting on an application that says to 4 p.m.?
I believe we
I
would
said, but they have
follow
to, yeah, they have to
on
they
clarifying
should
that, right?
clarify that.
That right there. So you can put the stipulation on the motion.
Yes.
Do I have to do this all over again?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last motion.
I, DeLorne Moore, withdraw my last motion. I, DeLorne Moore, make a new motion. The motion is in favor of Boca Cafe Bronx Incorporated liquor license, with the stipulation that food and alcohol, that alcohol stop being served until 4 p.m. That's all we can control the alcohol.
And that they should amend their application.
And that they should amend their application that hours of operation is till 4 p.m.
So may I
Okay,
ask
so
a
they have
question
to.
real fast about
Okay.
that?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
area is not that bad. I go
so
there
sorry.
frequently to get like little supplies to
No
use
discussion
wraps.
until
and
second.
stuff.
Okay.
Until second.
Yes, we have to second this. Let's follow the process so that we can go.
I will second DeLorme's motion.
Discussion on the motion.
Okay. Oh, my question, let's say I go to this place to have dinner, and I want a glass of wine with my dinner.
It
Is
closes
that
at 4
after?
o'clock.
Is
You
that
can't have
after
it closing at 4
4
o'clock. They're closing at 4 o'clock. You
You
can't
wanna
have
go
dinner.
for
They don't have
lunch
staff
and
for that.
If you want to go for lunch and have a
And
glass
have
of wine.
Yeah, a glass
with
of
your
wine
lunch, a
with-
glass of wine with your
When
lunch.
we record these votes.
Well, I don't know if discussion's over.
Okay.
Stephanie, do
Any
you
other
have something?
discussion?
Oh, no, I
Any
don't have
more
any
discussion on the
Any more
motion?
discussion?
No,
Okay.
let's vote.
The clerk will call the roll.
Paola Martinez, how do you vote?
Yes.
DeLorne Moran, how do you vote?
Yes.
Susan Camarada, how do you vote?
Yes.
Argelia Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Cesar Yuck, how do you vote?
Yes.
Stephanie Cansado, how do you vote?
Yes.
Josephine Fernandez Byrne, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Freddie Perez Jr., how do you vote?
Yes.
And
Robert Barnes.
Mr. Barnes is not a member of the committee, so he won't vote on committee level. He'll vote on the full board.
Oh,
The
okay.
next, thank you so
But
much.
he's here to be a.
I'm a dad. Oh,
There are new
so
members.
that's why you, so you have,
Uh,
he's
the
a member
next
of the
one,
board.
Please.
He will
So
vote
not
in the
the-
general board meeting. We
How
can
about-
do more discussion
okay,
about
okay.
during the time motion
I'm gonna
going,
wait for that
please.
one.
I see, okay.
Okay. I, DeLorne Moran, make a motion to vote in favor of Bliss Creation Incorporated liquor license.
Bliss.
I second
Wait, hold on.
DeLorme's motion. Oh, go ahead, Stephanie.
No, I just. No.
Yes,
Go
any
ahead, Susan.
discussion?
Okay, I second that motion.
It's not discussion.
Discussion on the motion.
You could say something.
All right.
The clerk will call the roll.
Paola Martinez, how do you vote?
Yes.
DeLorne Moran, how do you vote?
Yes.
Susan Camarada, how do you vote?
Yes.
Argelia Ortiz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Cesar Yuck, how do you vote?
Yes.
Stephanie Calzado, how do you vote?
Yes.
Josephine Fernandez Byrne, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Freddie Perez Jr., how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion has.
Okay, for El Taquito.
Taquito. So first, we have to point out that their application is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is it, table? I, DeLorne Moran, table?
we should take,
You have to
I'm
vote
sorry.
for, you have to vote yes or no, because 30 days will pass, and then let the board vote, and then if you're
All
gonna
right.
do it again, then they come
Okay.
back.
All right, I, DeLorne Moore, make a motion to deny El Taquitos Corp. Liquor license application.
I second.
That was,
Who can second the motion?
I, Stephanie.
Okay, Stephanie, sorry.
Discussion on the motion. No discussion on the
The
motion.
clerk will call the,
Yes. I mean, this is so confusing, the stuff, but clarification, like, the taquito, the food truck has been part of the community for a long time, the food truck. per
But you
se.
can't sell liquor in the future.
No, what, that's what I'm saying, but it's like, when
If
they
they're
combine
doing it
everything,
under,
it
they trying to
affects
sell.
everything.
Yeah.
It affects everything because taquito is a food truck. So it just be like, if you doing that, if they clarify, they will have to separate all of them, per
They
se.
have to separate.
They make it more clear because it's like when they say taquitos, they're actually saying the food truck and the
And the
restaurant.
restaurant. So
So
they'll
that's why I was asking that. Plus they have this issue where the back, and I think it was misleading you. They have events there. I've been in
Yeah, I
that
can
place.
see he got very upset.
I've been
he
in
probably
that
got tired of his
place.
wife.
Yeah,
Like, why
others
you
from
even
City
mentioning
Hall. Okay, so I think we all.
We're on the same
the
page.
clerk will call the roll.
Paola Martinez, how do you vote?
No.
Wait, so you're voting no on her
No,
denial?
yes,
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
yes for the denial.
Thanks for clarification. Yes.
Lorena Moore,
Yes.
Susan
Yes.
Camarado,
Yes.
Argelia Ortiz,
Yes.
Cesar York,
Yes.
Stephanie Calzado,
Yes.
Josephine Fernandez Burr,
Yes.
Freddie Perez Jr., how do you vote? Motion is carried.
You learned, right?
Yes.
That's the only last
So
one, right?
No,
yes,
and the
yes.
presentation.
Thank you so much. We are going.
Wait, you have to vote on whether or not to move
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Euler
yeah,
for
yeah, I know. We're gonna go into the second portion now, the Euler for both of these projects.
So the first one didn't need a Euler.
Yeah, the first one is not, it's just an informational.
Okay, for the powerhouse apartment, they don't need one.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only for the second one, for the 438 Concord Avenue, which I think it looks like an amazing project.
You know, I
Are they
wanted to tell them that I love the fact that they have the music space.
Yes.
Now, the only thing that I was
Yeah.
Okay,
questioning
so
was.
you wanna make the motion, I can make a discussion?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I'll be ready, I'm ready.
Because what I know-
I gotta go.
Yeah, no, go.
Sorry. I, DeLorne Namora, make a motion in favor of the Euler project, something Concord, but.
438.
438 Concord.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Second the motion?
Second the motion.
Discussion on the
Motion
motion.
on the motion.
All right, here you go, Stephanie.
No, I was gonna say that I love the fact that they have the music studio only because I've worked this whole summer with so many kids that love music, and my main concern was because I've noticed that these buildings that have studios, you actually need to be a member, and the member is like $500 to actually even be or even partake in the studio.
That's why.
So that's why I wanted to know if that, how much would it be? Also, if they're gonna, engage with the schools around to ask them, if they have kids that actually want to engage in the studio sessions.
That's why I asked them to send us more information
yeah.
about the model that they have been implementing in other boroughs.
Go ahead, Sissy.
Okay. Looking at the context of the neighborhood, it's gonna decimate that neighborhood.
What do you mean?
It's gonna decimate it. It's because when you look at the pictures and the single family rooms around, single family houses around the area. So now you have a big 5.6 FAR. It's a huge
141
building.
square foot.
Even NYCHA has that FAR. If they go to that extent, they could have over 10 stories. If they go maximum.
They said 10 stories.
They did say that.
They confirmed 10 stories.
Yeah, but you're saying with 5.6 FAR, you could have a massive building.
And
I would have liked to have
10
asked
stories.
that question, but
So-
I agree. I was seeing
So
that.
then-
too. Sorry.
So it was like, okay, I'm mixed with parking issues. Things that I understood what they say. We had climate issues. We had that. I'm not really a car proponent. So but I understand your side, but it's like, I've been in different places. I've been in this committee. I was here for almost 6 years in this committee. So when you say affordable housing, it's going to be affordable for my hand. affordable for my hand. And when you have these things that they give you this. They sell you things that you're going to get the studio, you're going to get this. It's not going to be for us.
So I have a
it's like
question.
it's like a mixed
I'm sorry.
feeling.
I have a question. With
It's a mixed
regards
feeling.
from a homeowner's perspective, does bringing this kind of development, would that raise the value of properties around?
They will.
Would that
It
devalue
does
the property?
because the more buildings that is around now, we don't know how close. I mean, well, depending where the jail is at. If it's right next to where the jail is, it's a mix now.
No, it doesn't matter. There's a jail in downtown Brooklyn, and the properties around there is multi-million dollars.
So it's probably because.
Oh my God, my favorite neighborhood in Brooklyn is next to
I would say the
see.
last comment, because I'm very adamant, and this kind of like pisses me off about these things, but that area, if you look at the zoning, like 2 blocks from it is R7 already. It's just R7D already. So then that area, you have a lot of it looks like most of them are about 3 stories high. When he says that he's bringing the community, I'm telling you, that area is going to be rezoned, and you're gonna have a lot of skyscrapers there. Then you're gonna make a decision as to who's gonna benefit. It's a mixed feeling, because you do want affordable housing, you want this stuff, but when they're talking about affordable housing, they're talking about people from my hand.
So I do want to build on that,
Yeah.
just that narrow point, because I asked.
10.
I asked Ted, because I unfortunately, you guys, meeting, I had multiple things. I stepped away. We did not ask what the affordability range is. Now, in the back of their chart, affordability range can be up to 165 AMI, which is crazy because 80% AMI I think is insufficient. Area medium income, as you guys know, it's all 5 boroughs plus Westchester County. I do understand this is going to be presented to the full board, but I think this type of information, given the fact that we are going to convert our community, I understand there might be some gains for that conversion, right? A grocery store, a studio, whatever, but to approve the rezoning, right? The first project we did in our approval, they're like, we're not seeking rezoning. This place is seeking rezoning. They're not clear about affordability. They have a chart that goes above 80% AMI. I'm not saying for us not to say yes, but I don't know if we have to say yes to everything they're asking for, when I think there's some information that, we're lacking, and we're going to lose something. And I know we're going to lose it. I'm not saying not to approve the building, but do we need to approve it for whatever rezoning they're seeking? I don't know.
I feel like we could have.
I totally agree with you.
We could have. I mean, I like the building. I just made me feel like maybe they need more.
I would like to lead us into transition, right?
in
So with regards to the information that we don't have, as the learning has pointed out. So I guess that, Anthony, what are our alternatives right now with this process and the timeline, right? Can we get more clarity on the questions that we need? Can we think about drafting our response to having some conditions?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Sorry.
And I'm sorry. I'm asking Anthony a question. I want to give him the time to answer that question.
No, I'm not leaving. I'm just. No.
So through the UDOR process, this is a public hearing is coming up on the 26th, but we can ask for more information relating to this information. So we can ask for that if we like.
Where's the public hearing?
Public hearings here, the committee board.
At a full board meeting.
Full board meeting, yes.
Yeah.
So other information we're asking, like the rent rolls that speak to exactly what the AMIs are going to be charged for the unit numbers, we can ask that as an addition to the application. If you look at the application, they provide some updated some information, but they didn't provide the rent rolls that explain the AMI.
And for our record, in terms of voting, what are the options do we have? Voting yes, voting no, voting yes with conditions,
Yes,
tabling
yes,
until, and voting at the general board?
You can vote yes with conditions, you can vote yes or no. It goes to public hearing where you can recommend for full vote with conditions if you want to. But this has to carry. We have to have the public hearing because we didn't have enough time. It has to move to the borough president's office, and then it has to move to the city planning, and it has to continue to move forward.
Okay, just a quick question, just while we're on discussion, what is the zoning number right now? I know they want to go to R7. Oh, it's R7 and they want to go to MX 18?
No, it's M1 the zoning, and then they have MX part of it, and they want to go to R6 FAR.
Oh, okay, so they're
So that's our R7D, because the other lots are nearby.
existing zoning.
The other lots are also R7D.
So they
want to
already have all the land.
Yeah.
They already bought off the land. So they have them, they have all the land. So they have a right to build something, right?
Yes, of course.
This
Yes.
is to, this
How
is
big?
to, exactly,
And
this is to add.
To
the additional.
So that's what I'm saying. We could, because I'm not anti-development.
Yeah.
I just want to know, we don't have to vote for them to add, right? The add is the R7D, you guys?
This is why we're
That's
hosting the
what they're
parent
asking.
hearing.
That's
This is
what they're
asking to
asking.
come
They're
here.
asking for the
that
R7D.
extra.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
It could be
asking for the
bigger.
extra, because they have a right to build something
Something.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what, I was trying to get that, but we didn't have enough time
Yeah.
to say, what is it?
Yeah.
Because the rents here, it's gonna be like, what do they call that on the river?
Brooklyn?
Bankside.
Bankside.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like that.
That's exactly, okay, so that's
Let's
so,
be
okay.
real.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
just think about
just-
it. I mean,
Absolutely.
we're fooling ourselves to think anything different.
27% is not even that big of a number for them to make it too high. It's ridiculous. So, Anthony, are you going to send them our questions in advance so they can be prepared for that?
Yes, we will. Yes.
Okay.
We will send the questions as they're recorded.
Okay.
So if you have questions during the discussion, just make this speak to the camera.
Okay.
Questions will be.
And whatever the committee votes on now, when we go to the full meeting, you have a second chance to actually. If you do say, okay, I'm voting yes with conditions on the full board meeting, you can say no or yes, go ahead.
I think one of the questions then is, what is the difference between the as of right versus what you're asking for? Is it the 40 units? Is it, like, what is it? Are you doubling it? Like, what is that? What is that? That's exactly, what is that difference?
Yeah, because they're saying if we don't, they're probably gonna say if we don't let them go to R7,
whatever, yeah.
then they're not gonna have enough units to make affordable, they're giving us allegedly 27% units.
So
But at 165%, which is very difficult to rent, I'm gonna tell you, it's very
Of course,
difficult.
of course.
Okay,
That's why
so
Bankside
it's a
is
little
not
bit of,
full.
I know, but I mean, they're paying $5,000 a month for one bedroom. I mean, it's insane.
All right, so let's go.
So there's more discussion on motion that you voted in favor.
Oh, yeah, I made the motion, right?
Yeah, we made the motion.
And I'm
Second, so that this is doing discussions.
yeah, and the motion just for rewind, it's in favor of. I did in favor of.
So, okay, let me understand what's going on. Is discussion open or?
This was the discussion on the motion. This was the period to discuss the motion.
I get it.
I saw Freddie's laugh was so funny to me.
You let the whole discussion go past you.
Freddie's like, what's up?
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I don't blame you either. I know, and I did it in favor.
I get a little lost after a while. I don't know.
So we're ending the discussion of the
You can
motion.
vote yes with conditions if you have.
Condition.
Yes,
If or no with conditions if you have.
the clerk can record the votes.
Paola Martinez, how do you vote?
Yes, with conditions.
Please
And I
state
will-
such emissions.
Well, I will be more explicit on my conditions, but I do agree that we want to know what is the current density that they are allowed to build and what versus what they're applying for, and perhaps to have a sense of how many units that means.
This feels like we should.
And looking at the range of affordability.
So Lorraine Moore, how do you vote?
No.
Susan Camarada, how do you vote?
Abstain.
I'm gonna abstain right now.
Jerry Ortiz, how do you vote?
Okay, my vote is really gonna be no, because my
You don't have
situation.
to explain it.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
but
just say
the
no.
question I asked today about parking, and I didn't get a chance to ask another question. I'm concerned, what type of security are you gonna have in this building, especially in that area? And then, no, but none of my question is, but the parking, and then he said something about having.
And then we can work on a list of all the questions.
About compromising with cars and everything, but they're not gonna have enough parking for the bicycles either.
No.
The answer is no.
Only because we don't, I need more
Josephine.
clarification.
No.
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay, so we are gonna follow up on the process to take all of those questions to make sure that we are prepared for the
Public hearing.
public hearing.
Okay,
That's
so
what matters.
do you want me to email you my questions
Yes.
about?
Yes,
I'll do
you're gonna
that.
email to
Okay,
Yes.
I'll email them to Anthony or to Steven.
Need a motion to.
No, motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
No,
Okay, tell us,
two
yes.
things, Paola. I mean, you're fantastic.
You-
You're
wait,
great.
has the meeting-
You're
wait, has the
great
meeting
friend.
adjourned?
No.
I would not. The meeting has to adjourn before we go to session.
Oh,
Wait, I want to
Yes.
hear what.
okay, so somebody make a motion
I,
to adjourn.
Delorean Lamore, make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
I second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay. So
Meeting adjourned.
stop that. Okay. Two things. Paola, you're a great interpreter, but I don't think you should continue to do that
Yes, me
because
neither.
people can turn
I
around and
agree.
say, I